Now we will cover all these topics of polity and governance. Criminalization of politics. Recently, a report has come from the Association for Democratic Reforms, IEADR. It revealed that nearly 47% of ministers in India, whether in the central government cabinet or in the states, have declared criminal cases against themselves. Of these, 27% cases are serious crimes like murder or rape. Even in the 2024 Lok Sabha elections, the ADR report shows that 251 newly elected MPs have criminal cases against them, which is the highest figure till date. Criminalization of politics means that people with criminal background enter politics and elections. This problem is a threat to our democracy. Now, what are the reasons for this? First reason, politician-criminal nexus. Criminals enter politics to get legal protection and respect in society. At the same time, politicians and parties use them for their power. These people give the power of hooliganism and money. This creates a cycle where both take advantage of each other. The Vohra Committee report of 1993 had also said the same thing. There is a nexus between politicians, criminals, and bureaucrats, which is hollowing out our system. Second reason, winnable candidates. ADR's 2024 data shows that the win rate of candidates with criminal cases is 15.3%. Whereas candidates with clean image have only 4.4%, meaning parties think that such people can get more votes. Third, excessive expenditure on elections. Fighting elections is expensive. Posters, rallies, campaigning. For this, candidates often take black money or money from the mafia. In return, they give tickets to these criminals. Fourth, the slowness of the judicial system. The conviction rate against MPs and MLAs is very low, and the trials go on for years. Parties are not afraid of this and keep giving tickets to such candidates. The ADR report says that since 2009, there has been a 55% increase in the number of MPs with criminal records. Fifth, identity politics. Caste or religion matters more in elections, not criminal history. Voters think he is from our caste, so it's okay. Constitutional and legal provisions. First, let us talk about the Representation of the People Act, 1951. This law is the basis of our electoral system. Section 8, disqualification. If a person is found guilty of a serious crime, such as murder or corruption, and is sentenced to 2 years or more imprisonment, so he becomes ineligible to contest the election. This means that he can neither ask for votes nor become an MP or MLA. These rules are to keep criminals away from politics. Section 11, Power of Election Commission. Under this section, the Election Commission can reduce or remove the period of disqualification of a person. For example, in September 2019, the disqualification period of former Sikkim Chief Minister Prem Singh Tamang was reduced by the Election Commission. But sometimes this power is also misused. Recent initiatives, 130th Constitutional Amendment Bill. This is a new proposal which seeks to amend Articles 75 and 164 of the Constitution. Under this, if a minister remains in custody for 30 consecutive days for any such offense, which may be punished with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 5 years or more, then he will be removed from his post. This step is to make the ministers accountable. The way forward. Now, what can be done to further reduce this problem? Strict punishment for false affidavits. Every candidate has to give an affidavit regarding his assets and criminal cases. If someone lies, the 244th Law Commission Report, 2014, says the punishment should be increased to 2 years in jail, and it should be made a ground for disqualification. This will force people to tell the truth. Special Electoral Bench. There should be benches in the high courts, specifically for election-related matters. This bench should hear cases daily so that criminal cases can be decided quickly and guilty candidates can be disqualified. This will reduce the delay. Section 11, Review. The Election Commission should not have the power to reduce the disqualification of people convicted of serious crimes. This will ensure that serious criminals do not enter politics. Judicial Pendency. The caseload in the Supreme Court has reached its highest ever, with 88,417 cases pending as of September 2025. This figure has reached a record level. Even though the court tried to settle the case, according to the National Judicial Data Grid, there are around 4.6 crore cases pending in district courts and around 63 lakh cases pending in high courts. Overall, more than 5 crore cases are pending across the country. These numbers are so large that it may take decades to get justice. Now, what are the reasons for the backlog? First reason, shortage of judges. There are only 21 judges per lakh people in India, whereas the 120th Law Commission had recommended 50 judges. How will crores of cases be dealt with by so few judges? This imbalance is the root of the problem. Second, weakness of alternative dispute resolution. ADR methods such as mediation or conciliation can resolve small disputes quickly, but they are not implemented properly. For example, Gram Nyayalayas were created for minor rural cases so that the burden on the higher courts is reduced. But these were not effectively established in most states. Third, system and process deficiencies. Many times, appeals are made upon appeals. Hearings are frequently postponed, frivolous cases are filed, laws are unclear, or case management is weak. Additionally, not clubbing similar cases together or prioritizing urgent cases all add to the delay. Fourth, lack of infrastructure and technology. Staff shortages in lower courts, lack of infrastructure, lack of digital tools and delays in adopting technology all slow down justice delivery. Fifth, financial constraints. India spends only 0.1% of GDP on justice, whereas 2% on defense. With so little money, it is difficult to recruit judges, build courts, or adopt technology. Sixth, government interference in litigation. Government agencies are involved in about 50% of the cases, whether they appeal or delay. This increases the burden further. Effect of judicial pendency. First effect, violation of fundamental rights. In 1979, the Supreme Court held in the case of Husainara Khatun vs. State of Bihar that the right to speedy trial is part of the right to life and liberty under Article 21 of the Constitution. If the case goes on for years, this right is taken away. Social impact. Weakening of the rule of law. Delay in criminal cases emboldens criminals, and the power to prevent crime is weakened. People think, even if we get caught, the case will drag on for years. More impact on the poor. 76% of prisoners in jails in India are under trials. That means his punishment was not decided. These are mostly poor people, those who cannot get bail and remain in jail for years. Economic impact. Increasing cost of litigation. Repeated hearings, adjournments and lawyers, fees increase people's expenses. Poor people are ruined. Obstruction of projects. Projects like roads and bridges get stalled due to land acquisition or environmental clearance issues, due to which the economy suffers losses. Loss of trust. When justice is delayed, people lose faith in the courts. Some people resort to illegal means, such as hooliganism, to resolve disputes. This is called black court syndrome. Delays have become so common that they have become a new defense, where a party deliberately prolongs the case. Government schemes and initiatives. The government has taken several steps to reduce this problem. Let us understand National Mission for Justice Delivery and Legal Reforms 2011. It aims to reduce pending cases, improve infrastructure and speed up processes. Infrastructure Development Scheme for Judiciary. Funding for construction of court halls, residences for judges, lawyers, halls, toilets, and digital facilities. E-Courts Mission Mode Project. Work was done in phases 1, 2, and 3 to make the court digital. This includes e-filing, video conferencing, virtual courts, virtual justice clock, and justice app for judges. The Commercial Courts Act 2015. Created to resolve business disputes quickly. They also offer electronic case management and take on smaller cases. Fast Track Court. To expedite disposal of old and serious criminal cases, such as NIA or POCSO cases. Alternative dispute resolution. Reducing the burden on the courts through methods like Lok Adalat, mediation and arbitration. The way forward. What can be done to improve this problem? Some suggestions include National Judicial Infrastructure Authority. Former Chief Justice N.V. Ramana had proposed it in 2021. This authority will plan and manage the infrastructure for the court. Additionally, artificial intelligence should be used in case management. Appointment of ad hoc judges. Under Articles 128 and 224A of the Constitution, retired experienced judges should be made temporary judges in the Supreme Court and High Courts. Goals and deadlines. High courts and lower courts should set annual targets for disposal of old cases and review the performance every 2-3 months. Control of postponement. The practice of postponing hearings on trivial grounds should be strictly stopped. This is a waste of time. Reforms in litigation. The government should reduce its number of cases. Clear laws should be made, timely compliance should be ensured, and those filing fake cases should be stopped. Promotion of ADR. Alternative dispute resolution should be further strengthened. The Legal Services Authority should promote pre-trial mediation on a large scale to reduce new cases. If you like the video, then like it now. National Medical Commission. NMC was launched on the 25th of September 2020 and recently completed 5 years in September 2025. On this occasion, the government has set a target of adding 75,000 new medical seats. and NMC has approved 850 new MBBS seats for 2025-26. This step is to overcome the shortage of doctors. But at the same time, controversies like NEET paper leak have also brought it into discussion. About National Medical Commission. NMC is a statutory body formed under the National Medical Commission Act 2019. It has been operational since the 25th of September 2020. Earlier, there was Medical Council of India, which was dissolved due to corruption. The Board of Governors was also abolished. The commission consists of members appointed by the central government and a chairperson. 10 ex officio members. 22 part-time members. There are 4 autonomous boards under NMC. Undergraduate Medical Education Board, focus on basic education like MBBS. Postgraduate Medical Education Board, higher education like MD per Mega Siemens. Medical Assessment and Rating Board, rating and evaluation of medical colleges. Ethics and Medical Registration Board, ethics and registration of doctors. Problems of NMC. NMC has made improvements, but there are many shortcomings too. Lack of governance. The commission is mostly filled with doctors. Hence, there is less accountability. It does not include the voices of public health experts, social scientists, or ordinary citizens. Only registered doctors have the right to appeal. Patients' complaints are dismissed even though there is no legal restriction. Fee control. There is fee control on only 50% seats in private colleges. The rest are subject to arbitrary fees, due to which poor students are left out. Ethical monitoring. No time limit or judicial expertise in cases of misconduct, which raises questions about impartiality. National Medical Register. The process of updating and verifying doctors' credentials is very slow. This increases the risk of unqualified people taking the medicine. Conclusion. NMC has initiated modernization of medical governance. But problems of access, ethical oversight and inclusivity need to be addressed. This will make our healthcare system transparent, accountable and of global standards. We should also be careful while choosing a doctor. If you liked the video, then you can share this video with your friends who are preparing for IAS. Indian and French political systems. Recently, the French Parliament voted to remove the government and the Prime Minister, leading to political instability there. This incident gives us an opportunity to understand the systems of both the countries. Similarities in the political systems of India and France. Both countries are republics. That means the public elects its leaders. Both have a bicameral parliament, the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha in India. National Assembly and Senate in France. Both are based on the principles of democracy, liberty, equality and fraternity. In both, the president is elected and the government is accountable to the people. Differences between the political systems of India and France. Now let us take the help of a table to understand the difference. Constitutional model. India, parliamentary republic. Here the Prime Minister holds the real power and the President plays a mostly ceremonial role. The government is accountable to the Lok Sabha. France, semi-presidential system. There is a dual executive system, the President and the Prime Minister, both of whom have separate powers. Election of the President. India. The election of the President is indirect. An electoral college elects by secret ballot and single transferable vote. France. The President is directly elected. All adult citizens vote directly. Selection/removal of the Prime Minister. India. The Prime Minister is elected by the Lok Sabha and he has to maintain the confidence of the Lok Sabha. If the no confidence motion is passed, the government may fall. France. The President appoints the Prime Minister. But he needs the confidence of the National Assembly. If faith is lost, like the recent case, the government can be removed. A federal structure. India. Quasi-federal, i.e., a mixture of federal and unitary features. Both the center and the states have certain powers. But the center is stronger. France. Unitary system. All power lies with the central government and local governments work under the center. The secular perspective. India. Positive secularism. The state remains neutral with respect to religion, but it can intervene to bring about reforms, such as the abolition of untouchability. France. Laicite policy. Strict separation of religion and state. For example, in France, wearing large religious symbols is prohibited in schools or government places. You can watch the videos of Vision IAS magazine of all these months from these playlists. Visakhapatnam Declaration. The 28th National E-Governance Conference was recently held on the 22nd to the 23rd of September 2025 in Visakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh. The Visakhapatnam Declaration was adopted at the end of the conference, which emphasizes strengthening the entire government system with digital capabilities and creating agile and data-driven structures. This is the roadmap to realize the vision of Developed India 2047. National awards were also given to 19 outstanding e-governance initiatives at the conference. Main proposals of the Visakhapatnam Declaration. The manifesto has several important points which will strengthen Digital India. National vision: inclusive, citizen-centric and transparent governance. This means that every service should be easy, fair and open to the citizens. Technology-based governance: delivering multilingual, real-time and sector-specific services using AI, machine learning, blockchain, GIS, IoT and data analytics. Emphasis on ethical and transparent adoption. Examples: Digital India Bhashini, DigiYatri, Nadris V2. Replication of successful models: shredding models across the country such as Madhya Pradesh's Sapada 2.0, Bengaluru's eKhata, Maharashtra's Rohini Gram Panchayat and NHAI's drone analytics monitoring system. Grassroots and inclusive development. Geographical reach: expansion under the NESDA framework in areas with connectivity challenges such as the Northeast and Ladakh. Nationwide dissemination of successful Panchayat digital models, launching digital literacy programs for women and youth. Cybersecurity and resilience: focus on zero-trust architectures, post-quantum security, and AI-enabled surveillance, especially in transportation, defense, and citizen service platforms. Agriculture and sustainability: National Agri-Stack provides farmers with better access to credit, advice, and markets. Promote climate-smart farming. Other: scalable digital solutions through collaboration between government, industry, and academia. Regional hub development towards making Visakhapatnam an IT and innovation hub. Related news: the race for digital governance is accelerating in the world. Albania has appointed the world's first AI minister. There's an AI-generated bot named Diela. It will manage and allocate all public tenders for government projects, so that transparency increases and corruption decreases. You can watch all the videos from this month's magazine in this playlist. Immigration and Foreigners Order 2025. The Home Ministry issued this notification in the Gazette on September 1, 2025, which came into effect immediately. It is made under Section 33 of the Immigration and Foreigners Act 2025. It replaces older laws such as the Registration of Foreigners Order of 1957 and the Immigration Order of 2007. Its purpose is to consolidate immigration rules into one place so that there are clear rules regarding entry, stay, and exit of foreigners. This is a relief for refugees and people from neighboring countries, but it also strengthens national security. Key points of the order. This order exempts the need for passport and visa. Exemption for members of the Indian Navy, Army or Air Force and their families traveling on duty by government transport. Citizens of India, Nepal and Bhutan are exempted from entering Nepal or Bhutan border by land or air route. Even if you come from Nepal or Bhutan with a special entry permit, but not from China, Hong Kong, Macau or Pakistan. Tibetan refugees with valid registration and special permit are exempted. People belonging to Hindu, Sikh, Buddhist, Jain, Parsi and Christian communities from Afghanistan, Bangladesh and Pakistan who came to India till December 31, 2024 due to fear of religious persecution, even if their documents are invalid, will be exempted. This is related to the Citizenship Amendment Act, protection to registered Sri Lankan Tamils seeking asylum as of the 9th of January 2015. Many Tamil refugees living in Tamil Nadu will benefit from this. Apart from this, visa exemption is also available. Foreigners holding diplomatic or official passports if exempted by the agreement. To those entitled to visa on arrival. Some foreign military personnel arriving on naval warships. These exemptions have been given on humanitarian grounds along with national security. Illegal immigrants will be kept in holding centers or detention camps unless deported. Now we will cover all these topics of international relations. Shanghai Cooperation Organization. We will talk about the 25th summit of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which took place in Tianjin, China in 2025. First of all, what is this SCO? SCO is an international organization that connects countries in Asia and Eurasia. Its aim is to promote peace, security and cooperation in the region. First of all, the Tianjin Declaration was adopted at this conference. This is one such document in which SCO countries together agreed on future plans and cooperation. This declaration is like a roadmap for peace and development in the region. Secondly, the chairmanship of SCO for 2025-2026 has been given to the Kyrgyz Republic, meaning next year the Kyrgyz Republic will lead the activities of the SCO and play a key role in making important decisions. Thirdly, SCO approved its development strategy until 2035. It plans to increase cooperation in areas such as trade, technology and environment over the next 10 years. This strategy will further strengthen the SCO countries. Fourthly, now a new category has been created in SCO, which will be called SCO Partner Country. The dialogue partners and observer countries that were there earlier, they have now been merged into this new category. Also, Laos has been made the new partner country. Now SCO has a total of 27 countries, 10 member countries and 17 partner countries. Fifthly, SCO has got observer status in the Commonwealth of Independent States, IECIS. This will further increase the influence of SCO on international forums. Now let's talk about India's role. Our Prime Minister said that SCO rests on three main pillars. First is security, that is maintaining peace and stability in the region. Second, connectivity, making SCO a hub that connects countries through trade and culture. Third, opportunities, creating new opportunities through mutual cooperation for all countries. We'll discuss the main outcomes of the 25th SCO Summit. First, security and counter-terrorism efforts. The terrorist attack in Pahalgam, Jammu and Kashmir was strongly condemned in the conference. This attack happened in April 2025, in which 26 people were killed. SCO expressed condolences and demanded punishment for the perpetrators and their supporters. This is a major diplomatic victory for India, because China would have tried to save Pakistan earlier, but this time SCO supported India. There was also emphasis on adopting the CCIT, the Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism, proposed by India in 1996. This will be a global law that will declare all forms of terrorism a crime. Additionally, it was agreed to establish the SCO Anti-Drug Center and the Universal Center for Countering Security Threats, which will help fight drugs and other threats. Second, global governance and trade. China's proposed Global Governance Initiative received support. This initiative emphasizes true multilateralism, equality of all countries, respect for international law, and broad consultation. This shows the way forward from the dominance of Western countries. Also, steps were taken towards creating the SCO Export Credit and Investment Mechanism and the SCO Development Bank. The bank will fund infrastructure and development projects in SCO countries and serve as a dollar-free, less conditional alternative to Western options like the World Bank. Third, technical cooperation. SCO members were allowed to use China's Beidou navigation system. It is an alternative global satellite system to GPS, providing location, navigation, and timing services. This will reduce the technological dependence of SCO countries and increase cooperation. Other important outcomes included recognition of India's One Earth, One Family, One Future vision. This reflects India's global vision of promoting inclusive and sustainable development. Additionally, India proposed a civilization dialogue forum which would strengthen cultural diplomacy, people-to-people exchanges, and soft power. You can watch the full video of Vision IAS Magazine 2025 here in Hindi and English from this courses tab. India-China relations. Our Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping met on the sidelines of SCO Summit 2025. This was Modi ji's first visit to China after 2018. This meeting is a sign of improving relations between the two countries. Recently, the 24th round of Special Representatives Dialogue took place between the two countries. It was jointly led by the Chinese Foreign Minister and India's National Security Advisor. This dialogue takes place to resolve border disputes. The PM's visit and these dialogues show that the two countries are actively engaging again, especially after the LAC patrolling agreement at the end of 2024. Now the challenges. First, unresolved boundaries. The LAC is 488 kilometers long, where both countries do not agree. This leads to clashes like the Doklam standoff of 2017 and the Galwan Valley clash of 2020, in which many soldiers were martyred. Second, trade imbalance. India's trade deficit with China is set to rise to $99 billion in 2024-25, up from $85 billion in 2023-24. Exports from India were $14.25 billion, but imports were $113 billion. In August 2025, China overtook the United States to become India's largest trading partner. Due to this, India's dependence on Chinese goods is increasing. Third, China's tripartite alliance. Recently, China launched two trilateral initiatives in India's neighborhood, one with Bangladesh and Pakistan, and the other with Pakistan and Afghanistan. These are on security and economic cooperation. CPEC passes through Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, which is a violation of India's sovereignty. Due to this, India's regional position is weakening. Fourth, China's aggression, especially in South Asia, like presence in Maldives, Sri Lanka through String of Pearls strategy. This creates insecurity in the Indo-Pacific. India is responding to this through platforms like the Quad, which counters China's aggression. Fifth, water power, like building a dam on the Brahmaputra River. In July 2025, China began construction of the world's largest hydropower dam in Medoc County. This could increase the risk of floods or droughts in India's northeastern states, and China could use it as a geostrategic weapon. First, the highlights of the 24th SR's dialogue. First, agreement on border management. Both countries wish to find a fair and mutually acceptable solution based on the 2005 political parameters and guiding principles. For this, an expert group and working group will be formed, which will work under the working mechanism for consultation and coordination. Additionally, existing mechanisms at diplomatic and military levels will be used to reduce tensions and initiate de-escalation talks. The recent LAC patrolling agreement in October 2024 is a step in this direction. Second, strengthening economic and trade relations. Both countries stress the need to increase trade and investment and reduce India's trade deficit. From 2025, trade will resume through Lipulekh Pass in Uttarakhand, Shipki La Pass in Himachal Pradesh, and Nathu La Pass in Sikkim. This step will boost the local economy. Third, dialogue mechanism. Both sides promised to resume the high-level people-to-people exchange mechanism in 2026. Both said they are not rivals, but development partners. Fourth, 75 years of relationship. India-China diplomatic relations are completing 75 years in 2025. There will be events throughout the year to celebrate this, so that the dragon-elephant friendship gets a new life. Both countries want that their relations should not be seen from the perspective of any third country. Fifth, other consent. Direct flights will resume from January 2025. The scope of Kailash Mansarovar Yatra will increase from 2026. There was also agreement on sharing water-related data in case of emergency, especially for the Brahmaputra River, where China's dam is a matter of concern for India. Now its significance for India. First, business. China is a major source of APIs for India's pharmaceutical industry. More than 60% of India's API needs are met from China. Second, investment. The Economic Survey 2023-24 described Chinese investment as essential for Indian manufacturing. Recently, Niti Aayog suggested that additional scrutiny on Chinese companies should be reduced. Third, important resources. China controls 70% of the world's rare earth ore and 90% of its processing, which is essential for India's electronics and defense sectors. Additionally, solar modules and cells, which are crucial to India's renewable energy goals, come from China. Fourth, global impact. If India and China, two major Asian powers, maintain stable relations, so together we can play a constructive role in global governance on platforms like BRICS and SCO. This will help balance Western influence. Fifth, global challenges. Stable relations will enhance cooperation on issues such as climate change, health and energy security. Sixth, regional peace. Reduction in tension on LAC will bring stability in South Asia and Indo-Pacific. Seventh, the India-Russia-China triangle. Together, these three can increase investment and counter US sanctions. If you like the video, then like it now. India-Japan partnership. Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Japan in 2025 and signed several important agreements. These agreements further strengthen the India-Japan partnership, which is important at the regional and global levels. Key outcomes of the Prime Minister's visit. India-Japan joint vision for the next decade. This is a 10-year strategic plan. It focuses on 8 areas: economic partnership, economic security, mobility, environmental sustainability, and state prefecture partnership. For example, Andhra Pradesh in India has partnerships with Toyama in Japan, Ehime in Tamil Nadu, Yamanashi in Uttar Pradesh, and Shizuoka in Gujarat. These will increase cooperation at the local level. Economic Security Initiative. Agreed to strengthen supply chains in semiconductors, clean energy, telecom, and new technologies. This will promote Make in India. Space cooperation. India and Japan will work on a joint lunar polar exploration mission for Chandrayaan-5. This shows the partnership between the two countries in space technology. Other results. Joint Declaration on Security Cooperation. Action Plan for India-Japan Human Resource Exchange. India-Japan AI Initiative. Sustainable Fuel Initiative. Next Generation Mobility Partnership. India-Japan SME Forum to promote small and medium enterprises. Foundations of India-Japan relations. Current status. In 2014, it received the status of Special Strategic and Global Partnership. Economic cooperation. The India-Japan CPA came into force in 2011, covering trade, services, investment and intellectual property. Bilateral trade was $22.85 billion in 2023-24, in which exports from Japan to India were worth $17.69 billion. India imports nuclear reactors, copper, electrical machinery from Japan, and exports organic chemicals, vehicles, etc. Launched in 2021, IJICP is enhancing India's industrial competitiveness. Security cooperation. The 2025 Security Cooperation Declaration and the 2015 Defense Equipment Transfer and Security of Classified Information Agreements are important. Both countries hold 2+2 ministerial dialogue and participate in military exercises like JIMEX, Dharma Guardian, Milan, Malabar. Development cooperation. The Mumbai-Ahmedabad High-Speed Rail is a flagship project. The India-Japan Act East Forum supports the development of India's Northeast and Japan's free and open Indo-Pacific policy. Role in global and regional systems. Rules-based global order. Both countries are committed to a free and open Indo-Pacific and a rules-based order. Through the Quad, they cooperate on maritime security, critical technologies, and supply chains to prevent unilateral dominance in the Indo-Pacific. Multilateralism. Both countries in the G4 cooperate for UNSC reforms and support each other's permanent membership. African development. The Asia-Africa Growth Corridor and the Japan-India Cooperation Initiative, launched in 2017, are promoting sustainable and inclusive development in Africa. Supply chain resilience. The Supply Chain Resilience Initiative with Australia aims to reduce dependence on any single country. Conclusion. Although Japan's restrictions on nuclear technology transfer to India are a concern, yet the India-Japan partnership has become the backbone of the Indo-Pacific. Japan responds to China's aggression with US-led alliances. While India maintains non-alignment and strategic autonomy, it balances between the US, Russia, and the Global South. Recently, in October 2025, the MAHSR project achieved 50% progress, which marks the beginning of this partnership. This partnership, based on democratic values and a rules-based order, promotes multilateralism, economic strength, and inclusive growth. New Strategic EU-India Agenda. On the 17th of September 2025, the European Commission and the High Representative adopted a joint communication on the new Strategic EU-India Agenda. This follows the visit of European commissioners to India in February 2025, their first such visit to the Indo-Pacific. This will take the EU-India strategic partnership to new heights. Key highlights of the agenda. This agenda is based on the strategic partnership established in 2004. Its aim is to increase prosperity, strengthen security, and address global challenges such as climate change and economic inequality together. It has 5 main pillars. Prosperity and stability. Focus on economic growth, jobs, industry, and decarbonization. Trade and investment. Emphasis on untapped trade and investment opportunities. Negotiations for a free trade agreement to be completed by the end of 2025 and an investment protection agreement agreed upon. Recently, the 11th round of FTA negotiations was held in New Delhi in May 2025, in which a 2-phase approach was agreed upon. Economic security and supply chains. Strengthening under the Trade and Technology Council. Building the Blue Valleys, platforms where the private sector is involved in selected value chains. Implementation of the EU-India Semiconductor Agreement. Clean transition and resilience, based on the EU's 2050 and India's 2070 net zero targets. Example, creation of an EU-India Green Hydrogen Task Force. Decarbonizing heavy industries such as steel and cement. Technology and innovation. Open, secure, and human-centric innovation on emerging technologies. Support to critical emerging technologies, establishing EU-India Innovation Hubs. Digital environment. Collaboration on digital public infrastructure, such as for service delivery. Security and defense. Focus on global threats, geopolitical tensions, terrorism, and transnational crime. Promote coordination and a rules-based maritime order in the Indo-Pacific. The Strategic Dialogue on Foreign and Security Policy, launched in June 2025, gave it impetus. Connectivity and global issues. Regional connectivity, cooperation in third countries, and global governance. EU's Global Gateway and India's cooperation through Mahasagar. Enablers of all pillars. Enhancing skills mobility, knowledge exchange, business engagement, and institutional cooperation. If you like the video, then you can share this video with your friends who are preparing for IAS. India-Israel. Israel became the first OECD country to sign a new bilateral investment treaty with India. The previous BIT was signed in 1996, which ended in 2017. This new BIT was signed on the 16th of September 2025, which will increase investment and cooperation between the two countries. Key features of the India-Israel BIT. Investment promotion. Currently, the total investment between the two countries is $800 million. This BIT will further boost investments, especially in technology, startups, and defense. Investor protection. The treaty strikes a balance between investor protection and the regulatory powers of the government. It ensures minimum standard treatment for investors. Dispute resolution. Arbitration is in place to resolve trade and investment disputes, providing transparent and speedy resolution. Development of India-Israel cooperation. Economic cooperation. Bilateral trade between the two countries stood at $6.53 billion in 2023-24, with India having an export surplus. India exports diamonds, petroleum products, and agricultural products to Israel, while importing electronics and high-tech equipment from Israel. Regional cooperation. The first summit of the I2U2 partnership was held in 2022. Recently, in July 2025, I2U2 announced an investment of $300 million for solar energy projects in Africa. This connects India and Israel in regional development. Innovation and Science Technology. India-Israel Industrial R&D and Innovation Fund has been created for 2023 to 27. It is increasing cooperation in startups, AI, and cyber technology. Example: innovation hubs were established in Bengaluru and Tel Aviv. Defense. Both countries have co-developed the Barak 8 missile system. Israeli Navy ships regularly stop at India's Haifa port. Recently, in August 2025, India signed a new agreement with Israel for drone technology. Other areas: cultural exchange programs, such as cultural festivals in Delhi and Jerusalem in 2025. Cooperation in health and medicine, such as partnerships in COVID-19 vaccine research. MOUs on agriculture and water management, such as projects in Rajasthan with Israeli assistance in drip irrigation technology. India-Singapore. Prime Minister of Singapore Lawrence Wong paid an official visit to India from the 2nd to the 4th of September 2025. The visit was to celebrate 60 years of India-Singapore diplomatic relations. The two countries reiterated their shared heritage of friendship, trust and mutual respect. The state visit of Singapore President Tharman Shanmuganathan in January 2025 was also part of this year's celebrations, where the two presidents launched commemorative logos, the Lotus of India and the Orchid of Singapore, symbolizing their friendship. Main results. The two countries adopted a forward-looking roadmap for a comprehensive strategic partnership. This will deepen cooperation in 8 important areas. Economic cooperation. Launching the 3rd review of CECA and progress on the major review of the ASEAN-India Trade in Goods Agreement in 2025. Support to India's semiconductor industry, such as partnerships with Singapore companies under the India-Singapore Semiconductor Policy Dialogue. Also, increasing capital market connectivity. Joint collaboration between InSpace and Singapore's Office for Space Technology and Industry InSpace. Recently on September 4th, PM Modi and PM Wong virtually inaugurated the container terminal in Maharashtra, which has a $1 billion investment by the Singapore Port Authority. Defense and security cooperation. Deepening defense technology in emerging areas such as quantum computing, AI, automation, and unmanned vessels. Reiterated strong commitment against terrorism, cross-border terrorism and terror financing. Digitalization. Strengthening digital finance, fintech, cybersecurity and capital market linkages. Further expanding the UPI Pay Now linkage for cross-border payments. Skills development. To jointly develop a national center of excellence for advanced manufacturing in Chennai, Tamil Nadu. Sustainability. Collaboration on green initiatives in multilateral frameworks such as the International Solar Alliance and the Global Biofuels Alliance. Making strides in green hydrogen and ammonia production, urban water management, and civil nuclear domain. Connectivity. Support for establishing a green and digital shipping corridor between Singapore ports and Indian ports. Healthcare and medicine. Deepening cooperation in digital health and disease surveillance. People-to-people and cultural exchange. Strengthening social, cultural, and people-to-people linkages. There are many events planned in 2025, like the inauguration of Thiruvallur Cultural Center in Singapore. You can watch all the videos from this month's magazine in this playlist. Pakistan and Saudi Arabia Strategic Mutual Defense Agreement. This agreement was signed by Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and Pakistani Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif in Riyadh on the 17th of September 2025. Its aim is to enhance defense cooperation between the two countries and strengthen joint deterrence against aggression. The agreement states that any aggression against one country shall be considered aggression against another. This comes amid concerns raised by Israel's attack on Qatar following the Gaza war, which has prompted Gulf countries to question U.S. security guarantees. Effects of the agreement. Fear of nuclear warfare. This indicates the expansion of Pakistan's nuclear umbrella to Saudi Arabia. Pakistan has about 170 nuclear warheads, and Saudi Arabia has always felt threatened by Iran's nuclear program. Pakistan's Defense Minister Khawaja Asif said that nuclear capability will be available to Saudi Arabia if needed. This has increased the fear of nuclear war in the already tense region of West Asia. Shift in power dynamics of Saudi Arabia. This provides strength against threats from Iran, Yemen's Houthi militia, and Israel. America's traditional role is diminishing because the Gulf countries are angry with the Gaza war and Israeli attacks. This could create a strategic vacuum for China to increase its influence in the region. Implications for India. Pakistan may view this as deterrence against India, especially in response to cross-border terrorism. Remember the 4-day Indo-Pak conflict of May 2025, where missile and drone attacks took place. Now any India-Pakistan conflict can also involve Saudi Arabia. The Indian government is investigating this agreement and has promised to ensure her safety. India-Saudi Arabia relations. Strategic partnership. Formalized by the Riyadh Declaration of 2010. PM Modi visited Jeddah in April 2025, where both signed several MOUs in energy, space, health, and defense. Economic relations. Saudi Arabia is India's second-largest trading partner, whereas India is Saudi's fifth. Bilateral trade was $42.98 billion in 2023, but is projected to fall to $41.88 billion in 2025. India's exports at $11.76 billion and imports at $30.12 billion. India is a net importer. Saudi Arabia accounted for 6.7% of India's total remittances in 2024. Energy partnership. Saudi is the third-largest crude oil supplier to India. In April 2025, both agreed to increase crude and LPG supplies. Also, there are plans to build 2 new oil refineries in India. Saudi has promised to invest $100 billion in India. You can watch the videos of Vision IAS magazine of all these months from these playlists. Palestinian state recognized by multiple nations. Recently, 4 Western countries, the United Kingdom, Canada, Portugal, and Australia, recognized Palestine as a state. These 4 countries became the first Western countries to announce it simultaneously on May 14, 2025. Now, more than 140 member countries of the United Nations recognize Palestine as a state. India had recognized Palestine in 1988 itself. Recently, in September 2025, India voted in support of the New York Declaration in the UN General Assembly, which promotes a peaceful resolution of the two-state solution. What is state recognition? Recognition is the acceptance of another country as a state. According to Article 1 of the 1933 Montevideo Convention, a state must have 4 things: permanent population, fixed territory, government, ability to establish relations with other countries. Palestine largely meets these criteria, but its territory is not completely certain because there is a border dispute with Israel. Effects of state recognition. With recognition, Palestine can establish diplomatic relations with other countries. It can make agreements with countries. It enjoys the rights and privileges of a state in international forums. Palestine is currently a permanent observer state of the UN, not a full member. Full membership requires UN Security Council approval, where countries like America can veto. India's stance. India recognized Palestine in 1988 and has always supported a two-state solution. New initiatives for global AI governance. On the 26th of August 2025, the UNGA adopted a resolution establishing 2 new mechanisms within the United Nations to enhance international cooperation on the governance of artificial intelligence. It builds on the Pact for the Future and the Global Digital Compact, which were adopted at the Summit of the Future in September 2024. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres called it a major step forward in promoting the benefits of AI and managing its risks. These initiatives focus on non-military AI governance, i.e., preventing AI from being weaponized. About the new mechanism. Independent International Scientific Panel on AI. This panel will promote scientific understanding of AI. It will compile and analyze existing research and release evidence-based reports outlining the opportunities, risks, and impacts of AI. The panel's first report will be released in 2026 and will help policymakers address emerging AI risks. The UN Secretary-General will soon launch a nomination call for its members. Global Dialogue on AI Governance. This will be a platform where countries, industry, and civil society will come together to discuss AI governance. Here, best practices will be shared, lessons will be learned, and there will be open, transparent debate. The first high-level meeting will take place during the UNGA in September 2025, and the next annual meetings will be held in Geneva in July 2026 and New York in 2027. Other UN mechanisms for global AI governance. Pact for the Future. Adopted at the September 2024 summit, this is a plan to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals and address emerging challenges. Global Digital Compact. Part of the Pact, it is a comprehensive framework for digital cooperation and AI governance. AI for Good Global Summit. Organized by the ITU since 2017, it identifies AI applications to advance the SDGs. The most recent took place in Geneva on the 8th to the 11th of July 2025. Where more than 200 demos were shown, such as flying cars, brain-computer interfaces, and AI disaster response tools. Workshops focused on healthcare, education, and ethics, and AI for Good awards were presented. Experts like Will.I.am spoke on AI skills. In 2021, the first global AI ethics standard was adopted. UNESCO's recommendations on AI ethics which protects human rights. Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide. The Independent International Commission of Inquiry, set up by the UN, submitted a report on the 16th of September 2025, in which Israel's conduct in Gaza was legally analyzed under the Genocide Convention. It raised serious questions about the war and humanitarian crisis in Gaza. The report said some Israeli actions should be investigated under the definition of genocide, although no final verdict was given. The issue has also been raised in the International Court of Justice, notably in a case filed by South Africa in 2024. What is the Genocide Convention? Definition. It is an international agreement adopted by the UN in 1948. It defines genocide as acts which are committed with the intent to destroy, in whole or in part, any national, racial, ethnical, or religious group. These include killing members of a group, causing serious physical or mental harm, creating conditions that prevent the group from surviving, taking measures to prevent births, forcibly transferring children to another group. Genocide can occur in both war and peacetime. Subscription. 41 countries have signed it, and 153 countries are parties to it. India signed it in 1949 and ratified it in 1959. Judicial process. The International Court of Justice hears cases under this convention and interprets and applies its rules. If you liked the video, then like it now. International Criminal Court. On the 20th of September 2025, Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger announced their withdrawal from the ICC in a joint statement. These countries described the ICC as a weapon of neo-colonial repression controlled by imperialist forces. These three countries are in the Sahel region and have recently been growing closer to Russia and China. Their departure raises questions about the global credibility of the ICC, especially when many big countries like India, America, and China are already not its members. What is ICC? The ICC is the world's first permanent international criminal court. Its headquarters is in The Hague, Netherlands. It was created in 1998 under the Rome Statute, which came into effect in 2002. The ICC investigates, prosecutes, and tries individuals for serious crimes, such as genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, and the crime of aggression. Example: recently, the ICC issued warrants against Israeli and Hamas leaders for the Gaza war in 2024, which was controversial. 125 countries are its members. India, Israel, the United States, Russia, and China are not parties to the Rome Statute. India did not support it, as it felt that the ICC's jurisdiction was too broad and could affect national sovereignty, mainly from member countries, plus some voluntary contributions. ICC decisions are binding, but it is difficult to enforce on non-member countries because they have no legal obligation. These three countries left ECOWAS in 2023, and now their withdrawal from the ICC reflects their strategy of distancing themselves from Western influence. Scarborough Shoal. In September 2025, China announced the creation of a 523-hectare national nature reserve on Scarborough Shoal, which it claims will protect the coral reef ecosystem. But the Philippines called it a pretext for occupation and lodged a diplomatic protest. On October 3, 2025, Philippine Armed Forces Chief General Romeo Brawner said that they would not allow China to militarize the country. Like what happened at Mischief Reef, the announcement came after a collision between a Chinese naval ship and a Coast Guard on August 11, 2025, while attempting to intercept a Philippine patrol vessel. The United States also supported the Philippines because this area is the route for $3 trillion annual shipping trade. What is Scarborough Shoal? Scarborough Shoal is a small atoll in the South China Sea. China calls it Huangyan Island, while the Philippines names it Panatag Shoal. It is located about 200 kilometers off the west coast of the Philippines, which falls within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. It has rich fish stocks, protected lagoons, and coral reefs, which provide shelter for ships in storms. But China has occupied it since 2012, and Filipino fishermen often face harassment from Chinese vessels. Bagram Air Base. On September 18, 2025, US President Donald Trump said at a press conference in London that the US was trying to take back Bagram Air Base from the Taliban. He said the base is just an hour away from China's nuclear missile plants. Therefore, it is strategically very important. Trump described Joe Biden's 2021 departure as a total disaster because the base was then given to the Taliban for free. According to CNN, Trump's administration has been quietly working on this with the national security team for several months, but the Taliban has categorically rejected it. His foreign ministry official, Zakir Jalal, said any foreign military presence in Afghanistan was unacceptable. However, the rates are open for economic and political relations. China also said that the future of Afghanistan is in the hands of the Afghan people. What is Bagram Air Base? This is Afghanistan's largest air base, located north of the capital, Kabul. It was built by the Soviet Union in the 1950s. After the Soviet withdrawal in 1989, it became a major focus of the war between the Taliban and the Northern Alliance. After the 9/11 attacks of 2001, the US made it the center of its counter-terrorism campaign in Afghanistan. More than 100,000 American and NATO troops were stationed here, along with hospitals, prisons and heavy weapons. The US and NATO abandoned the base in 2021, after which it was captured by the Taliban. Now the Taliban celebrates events like its third anniversary here. Now we will cover all these topics of security. Cybercrime in India. Recently, a parliamentary committee presented a report titled Cybercrime Impact Security and Prevention, which highlighted how sophisticated cyber threats have become in India. What is cybercrime? Cybercrime is an illegal act in which a computer, internet, or electronic device is used to commit or facilitate a crime, like stealing someone's password or committing online fraud. Types of cybercrime. There are many types of cybercrimes. Malware, virus that harms your device. Ransomware, locking your data and demanding money. Phishing, stealing your information by sending fake emails or messages. Wishing and smishing, scams through phone calls or SMS. Identity theft, stealing your name or bank details. New threats are also emerging, like digital arrests where thugs pretend to be police and scare people. Cryptojacking is using your device for cryptocurrency mining, and deepfake scams are frauds created by creating fake videos or sounds. Recently, a case of deepfake scam came to light in Delhi, where a person had to lose lakhs of rupees due to fake video call. Why is cybercrime increasing? Accelerating digital transformation. Digital platforms like Aadhaar, UPI, and DigiLocker have grown in India. This increased convenience, but also increased opportunities for cybercriminals. International crime. CBI said that some Indians are being taken abroad and cybercrimes are being committed. For example, fraud through fake loan apps and call centers. These criminals use cryptocurrency, which makes it difficult to catch. Organized crime. Now cybercrime as a service is the trend. That is, anyone can easily buy tools of crime from the dark web, even if he doesn't know much about technology. Legal problems. Cybercriminals operate from foreign countries where Indian laws do not apply. This makes them difficult to catch. Misuse of new technology. Criminals hide their identities using VPNs, blockchain, and encryption. 5G and OTT apps have also complicated the investigation. Deficiencies in the law. There are some shortcomings in our IT Act. Punishments are lenient, grievance redressal is weak, and there is a shortage of cyber experts. Impact of cybercrime. Financial loss. Cybercrime in India caused losses of more than 31,500 crore from 2019 to 2024. Most of the crimes are financial, like UPI, QR code fraud, deepfakes, and SIM swap. For example, recently an elderly man lost lakhs of rupees in UPI fraud in Delhi. Threat to vital services. Ransomware attacks can disrupt vital services such as electricity, banks, and telecom. Social and mental harm. People who are victims of sextortion, cyberstalking, and deepfakes face mental stress, social isolation, and sometimes even suicidal thoughts. In particular, AI, deepfakes are affecting the mental health of students. Lack of trust. Due to frequent frauds, people, especially the elderly, are losing trust in digital services. Government efforts. Legal framework. Cybercrime is registered under the IT Act 2000, Indian Penal Code, and other local laws. Section 69A of the IT Act for information blocking, Section 79 for platform liability, and Section 70B for setting up of Cert-In are important. Institutions and initiatives. I4C 2020, National Cybercrime Coordination Center, which runs the helpline 1930 and the National Cybercrime Reporting Portal. Cert-In handles cyber incidents and issues warnings such as AI-based phishing. NCIIPC protects services like electricity, banking, telecom. CBI and NIA investigate crimes related to cyber fraud and terrorism. For example, Operation Chakra caught dark web fraud. State-level Cyberdome in Kerala and Cyberlab in Maharashtra are the leaders. Advanced technology, AI and machine learning help detect fraud, like NPCI's FRM system and RBI's Mule Hunter AI. METI and CDAC created deep fake detection tools. Cyber Swachhata Kendra cleans malware and botnets. TRAI and RBI are enhancing spam and card security through blockchain and tokenization. International collaboration. The collaboration portal connects governments, platforms, and companies to remove inappropriate content. Awareness campaigns. Campaigns like Cyber Dost and RBI Kehta Hai. Cyber literacy in schools and SEBI investor camps. The way forward. Strengthening the CBI. The Parliamentary Committee suggested that the DSPE Act 1946 be amended to give the CBI the power to investigate across the country without state permission. Legal reforms. Further tightening of the IT Act, unified cyber law and compensation for victims. Making rules on deepfakes, OTT, and online gaming. Platform accountability. Registration of platforms in India, local grievance officers and faster content removal mechanism. Increasing cooperation. Cyber coordination centers in states, international data sharing, and 24/7 cyber desks. Technological advancement. Investing in AI, blockchain, and quantum-resistant encryption, creating an indigenous app store. Data security. Data storage, KYC, and privacy under DPDP Act 2023. Capacity building. Cybersecurity training for police, lawyers, judges, and students. Forensic lab and VR-based training. Awareness. Multilingual campaigns. Financial literacy and control over influencers. If you liked the video, then like it now. Enforcement Directorate. Recently, in September 2025, the ED reported that over 94% conviction rate has been achieved in 53 cases under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. It has also helped the victims in recovering more than 34,000 crore rupees. In October 2025, the ED raided 15 locations in Delhi, Noida, Gurgaon, and Mumbai in a tech support scam case where cases of defrauding foreign nationals came to light. What is money laundering? Money laundering means cleaning dirty money earned through crime and making it appear legitimate. This allows criminals to use this money without fear. It has 3 stages. Placement. Putting money related to crime directly into a bank or market so that the link to crime is broken. Layering. Moving money around in multiple places such as foreign accounts or investments to hide the trail. Integration. Ultimately, the money is passed to the criminal under the guise of coming from a legitimate source, such as business profits. About Enforcement Directorate. ED was established in 1956. Its headquarters is in New Delhi, and it works under the Department of Revenue, Ministry of Finance. The ED is headed by a director, who is an officer of the rank of Additional Secretary to the Government of India. It is a multidisciplinary organization that works on investigations into money laundering and violations of foreign exchange laws. Main duties of ED: Prevention of Money Laundering Act, law to prevent money laundering and seize property related to it. ED seizes the property of criminals. Foreign Exchange Management Act, investigation, punishment and imposition of penalties for violations of foreign exchange regulations. Fugitive Economic Offenders Act, to confiscate the property of economic offenders who have fled from India and hand it over to the central government. COF-EPOSA Act, sponsoring agency for preventive detention on foreign exchange violations. ED challenges. Operational challenges. Dispute of jurisdiction. The Supreme Court has repeatedly criticized the ED for acting beyond its jurisdiction, due to which the federal structure of the country is affected. Political influence. Some people say that ED is used for political purposes, due to which questions arise about its independence. Lack of resources. The sanctioned staff strength of the ED has not increased since 2011, while new laws such as the Fugitive Economic Offenders Act have increased responsibilities. Important judicial decision: Abhishek Banerjee vs ED. Delhi High Court said that ED has the right to investigate money laundering across the country. Pankaj Bansal vs Union of India. The Supreme Court ordered that the ED will have to provide written grounds of arrest to the accused. Manish Sisodia vs ED. The Supreme Court said that for a fair trial, the accused has the right to see all the documents which have not been relied upon. Structural and legal challenges. More rights. Under the PMLA, the ED has wide-ranging powers such as arrest, seizure of property, and reverse burden of proof. This raises questions about civil liberties. Judicial delays. The constitutional validity of the PMLA is pending in the Supreme Court, due to which many cases get stopped. Interagency litigation. The accused file multiple complex cases, due to which ED's resources and time are wasted. Technical challenges. Digital and crypto fraud. Cyber and crypto crimes, such as pig butchering and phantom hacking, are on the rise. Lack of implementation. The Financial Action Task Force reported weak compliance with anti-money laundering rules among smaller financial institutions, virtual asset service providers, and precious metal stone dealers. The way forward. Fair process. Allegations of political bias can be minimized by strictly following standard operating procedures. Evidence-based investigation. Focusing on intelligence and solid evidence can increase conviction rates and credibility. increase in staff and expertise. The FATF recommended increasing the staff strength of the ED, given India's population and the complexity of crimes. Use of new technology. ED is using AI/ML tools of the Financial Intelligence Unit to detect suspicious transactions. Coordination among agencies. For example, the ED and the Insolvency Board have created coordination between the PMLA and the insolvency law in cases of stressed assets. Indian Ocean Naval Symposium. Recently, an emerging leaders panel discussion was held under IAS in Kochi in October 2025. What is IAS? The Indian Ocean Naval Symposium is a voluntary initiative, which was launched by the Indian Navy in 2008. Its first session was held in New Delhi in 2008. Objective: to enhance maritime cooperation between the navies of the littoral countries of the Indian Ocean region. This helps in strengthening maritime security, disaster management, and maritime trade. It consists of 25 member countries and 9 observer countries. Any country with a permanent coastline on the Indian Ocean and having a navy or maritime agency. The presidency of IAS changes every 2 years. India will be its chair for 2025 to 27. If you liked the video, then you can share this video with your friends who are preparing for IAS. First, Overseas Defense Manufacturing Plant. Recently, on the 23rd of September 2025, Defense Minister Rajnath Singh inaugurated this plant in Beretchid, Morocco. This is a major step in defense cooperation between India and Morocco. What is this plant? It is a plant of Tata Advanced Systems Limited, which is India's first overseas defense manufacturing center in Morocco. This is the first such plant of an Indian private company in the African continent. The plant has an area of 20,000 square meters and will build vehicles for the Royal Moroccan Army. Initial deliveries will begin next month. It is Morocco's largest defense manufacturing center. The wheeled armored platform 8x8 will be produced here. It is India's first indigenous amphibious infantry combat vehicle. It was jointly developed by Tata Advanced Systems Limited and the Defense Research and Development Organization. It is an all-terrain, high-security and lethal vehicle. It can also float in water. Important techniques: integrated power pack with automatic transmission which makes the vehicle faster and stronger. Flotation and propulsion: the ability to float and move in water, making it amphibious. Its commissioning ceremony took place recently on the 6th of October 2025 at the Naval Dockyard in Visakhapatnam, which was chaired by Vice Admiral Rajesh Pendharkar, Chief of Eastern Naval Command. The ship was delivered to the Navy by Garden Reach Shipbuilders and Engineers on the 13th of September 2025. About Androth: it is the second of 8 anti-submarine warfare shallow watercraft ships, which is being built by GRSE Kolkata. The first ship was Arnala, commissioned in June 2025. It takes its name from Androth Island in the Lakshadweep archipelago, which symbolizes the protection of our maritime borders. Properties: powered by a diesel engine waterjet combination, it is the largest such ship in the Indian Navy. Length approximately 77 meters, width 10.5 meters, displacement 900 tons. Maximum speed 25 knots and range 800 nautical miles. Weapon: state-of-the-art lightweight torpedoes, indigenous ASW rocket launcher, 30mm naval surface gun, ASW mines, and advanced shallow water sonar. Its role: the ship is designed to detect, track and destroy submarine threats in coastal areas. Also, it will help in maritime surveillance, search and rescue, and coastal defense. It will replace the 1989 Abhi-class corvettes. You can watch the full video of Vision IAS Magazine 2025 here in Hindi and English from this courses tab. Extended Range Attack Munitions. Recently, in August 2025, the US has approved the supply of 350 ERAM missiles to Ukraine. It's an $825 million deal, which will be mainly funded by Denmark, Netherlands, Norway and the US. The first deliveries could begin in 6 weeks. This would give Ukraine a stronger offensive capability against Russia. What is ERAM? It is a next-generation air-launched, precision-guided missile. It is the US Air Force's low-cost standoff weapon, a project launched in 2024. It is a combination of a bomb and a cruise missile which destroys targets remotely from fighter aircraft. Properties: range 240 to 450 kilometers. This allows aircraft to attack while remaining protected from enemy air defenses. Warhead: a 500-pound high-explosive warhead that can destroy hardened bunkers, fuel depots, or ammunition stores. Guidance system: a combination of GPS, inertial navigation and terminal seeker, giving accuracy within 10 meters. It also works in electronic warfare. Other: It can be easily installed on aircraft, like the F-16, adapted to various seekers, such as for naval ships or drones. You can watch the videos of Vision IAS magazine of all these months from these playlists. Peace Pact with Kuki-Zo groups. Recently, on the 4th of September 2025, the suspension of operation agreement between the central government, Manipur government and insurgent groups like Kuki-Zo, Zomi and Hamar was renewed for 1 year with new conditions. The agreement was reached just before Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Manipur on September 13th. Under this, the Kuki-Zo Council decided to open National Highway 2, which was blocked for 2 years, and promised cooperation with the security forces. About the agreement. This agreement first came into force on the 22nd of August 2008. This was a step towards peace after the Kuki-Naga conflict in the 1990s. Objective: to stop violence and initiate political dialogue and find a peaceful political solution under the Constitution of India. The new conditions include adherence to the territorial integrity of Manipur, monitoring of cadres, checking and deportation of foreign nationals, and relocation of camps. Stipend will now be given only through Aadhaar-linked bank account. Groups includes 24 groups such as the Kuki National Organization and the United People's Front, which has around 200 cadres. Other peace accords in Northeast India. NLFT Accord, signed with the National Liberation Front of Tripura. This reduced violence and opened the way for inclusion in the mainstream. Bodo Accord, with Bodo groups of Assam. By March 2020, all groups had disbanded and thousands of cadres had joined the mainstream. This led to the formation of the Bodoland Territorial Council. Karbi Agreement, with the Karbi groups of Assam. This brought more than 1,000 cadres into the mainstream and made special provisions for regional development. Exercises in news. Exercise Bright Star. India will participate in the 2025 edition. The exercise was a US-Egyptian bilateral exercise following the 1977 Camp David Accords. The first edition took place in Egypt in 1980. Many countries joined from 1995. It is the largest tri-service multilateral exercise in the region. Exercise Friendship. The 14th edition began in Meghalaya, India. This is an important joint training between India and Thailand since 2006. Focus: counter-terrorist operations at company level in semi-urban areas under Chapter 7 of the United Nations Charter. Exercise Zapad. India participated in the Russia-Belarus Joint Military Exercise, ZAPAD 2025 in Russia. It has been a major multilateral event held every 4 years since 1999 and since 2009. Objective: testing defense against external threats. Weapons: nuclear-capable systems, such as Russia's hypersonic Zircon missile. War practice. The Embassy of the Indian Army is participating in the 21st edition, which is an India-US joint military exercise. Annually since 2004. Focus: UN peacekeeping operations and readiness for multi-domain challenges. Pacific Reach 2025. Indian Navy's latest indigenous diving support vessel INS Nistar is participating in the exercise in Singapore. It is a biennial multilateral exercise. Phase 2. Harbour Phase, Expert Exchange, Medical Symposium, Cross-Deck Visit, Discussion on Submarine Rescue. Sea Phase, Intervention and Rescue Operations at Sea. Exercise Siam Prahar. Indian Army conducted exercise in Arunachal Pradesh. Objective: validation of drone integration in tactical operations under battlefield-like conditions. Drone types: surveillance, battlefield patrol, target acquisition and precision strikes. Exercise Martial Arts. The Indian Army conducted exercise Yuddh Kaushalya 3.0 in the Kameng region of the Eastern Himalayas. You can watch all the videos from this month's magazine in this playlist. Operation Black Forest. We'll talk about Operation Black Forest, the biggest anti-Naxal operation ever conducted in the Karegutta Hills on the Chhattisgarh-Telangana border. This operation symbolizes India's strong action against Naxalism. What is Operation Black Forest? This is a military operation. It was carried out by Indian security forces in Naxalite areas between Chhattisgarh and Telangana. Now we will cover all these topics of environment. UN High Seas Treaty. This is an international agreement whose full name is Agreement for the Conservation and Sustainable Use of Marine Biological Diversity. Its aim is to conserve and properly utilize the biological diversity of those parts of the ocean which are outside the borders of any country. That is, these are the high seas, those maritime areas that are outside a country's exclusive economic zone, or EEZ. Recently, the 60th country approved this agreement, and now it will come into force after 120 days. Now let us understand what this agreement does. This is the third major agreement under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, i.e. UNCLOS. Before this, there were two agreements. First, in 1994, for exploration and mining of deep-sea mineral resources, and second, in 1995 for conservation and management of fisheries. This agreement contains a funding arrangement, and many institutions have been created in it, such as the Conference of the Parties, subsidiary bodies, a clearinghouse mechanism, and a secretariat. As of the 30th of September 2025, 145 countries have signed it and 74 have ratified it. India has signed but not approved yet. Now let us understand its four main bases. The first basis is Marine Protected Areas, i.e. MPAs. These will be special marine areas which will be protected through legal or other means to preserve marine biological diversity and ecosystems. For example, if an area is very important for marine life, it can be protected by creating an MPA. The second basis is Marine Genetic Resources, i.e. MGR. Organisms in the high seas, such as bacteria, corals, or deep-sea sponges, have genetic resources used in medicines, cosmetics, foods, and biotechnology. This agreement will share the profits from their commercial use among all countries, especially non-financial benefits, such as knowledge and technology. The third pillar is capacity building and transfer of maritime technology. This means that developing countries will be helped to implement this agreement. For this, knowledge, skills, and technology will be shared so that all countries can participate in marine conservation. The fourth basis is environmental impact assessment. If activities like deep-sea mining take place in the high seas, their impact on the environment will first be examined. These tests will be conducted as per international standards, and the results will be shared transparently. Now let's talk about some exceptions. The agreement will not apply to warships, military aircraft, or naval auxiliary units. Also, it will not apply to fishing and related activities, because these are governed by other international laws. The use of genetic resources in military activities is also outside the scope of this agreement, but this will apply to non-military activities. Significance of the High Seas Treaty. First, the agreement fills a major gap in maritime governance. Nearly half of the Earth's surface and 95% of the oceans, i.e. the high seas, fall within the scope of this agreement. Currently, only 1% of the high seas are protected, and this agreement will help increase this. Second, this agreement promotes equality and fairness. It takes into account the needs of all countries, especially developing countries. For example, small island countries like Vanuatu will now have the opportunity to participate in maritime decisions, which was previously difficult for them. Third, it helps tackle problems like climate change and ocean acidification. This includes the polluter pays principle and dispute settlement methods, which increases the strength of the sea. Fourth, the agreement values indigenous and local knowledge. It incorporates the traditional knowledge of tribal and local communities, which is necessary for marine conservation. Fifth, it is crucial for the 2030 agenda. This supports Sustainable Development Goal 14, which aims to reduce marine pollution. Also, it helps in achieving the 30 by 30 target, which aims to protect 30% of the planet's land and sea by 2030. Its significance for India is that it strengthens UNCLOS, which India considers the constitution of the sea. This complements India's blue economy policy and initiatives like the Deep Ocean Mission. Challenges. The first challenge is that not all countries approved it. Major countries like the US, China, and India have not yet ratified it, which could reduce its strength. The second challenge is conflict with national interests. Creating marine protected areas could conflict with countries' claims in disputed waters, such as the South China Sea. The third challenge is the difficulty of implementation. There is no strict punishment mechanism in this agreement. It is up to countries to enforce regulations on their ships and companies. Also, there are no strict rules forcing wealthy countries to share the benefits of marine genetic resources. The fourth challenge is limited scope. The agreement lacks concrete guarantees for technology transfer and capacity building from developed countries, which is necessary for developing countries. The way forward. First, major maritime countries must be encouraged to ratify. Forums such as the UN General Assembly, G20, and UN Ocean Conference can be used. Second, strengthen the enforcement mechanism. A global compliance and monitoring system could be created under the United Nations. Third, promote regional cooperation to resolve conflicting national interests, such as ASEAN for the South China Sea or IORA for the Indian Ocean. Fourth, provide assured support to developing countries. Promote finance and technology transfer through mechanisms such as the Global Environment Facility, UNDP Oceans Program, and Green Climate Fund. Fifth, strengthen environmental protection. Further expansion of environmental impact assessment. So that includes unplanned activities such as oil spills, shipwrecks, or deep-sea mining. What is UNCLOS? UNCLOS is called the Constitution of the Sea. It was adopted in 1982 and came into force in 1994. 171 countries have ratified it, which also includes India. Recently, on the 20th of September 2025, Kyrgyzstan ratified it. It regulates the use of the sea. It defines maritime areas. Territorial sea, up to 12 nautical miles from the coast, where the country has complete sovereignty. Contiguous zone, up to 24 nautical miles, where customs, immigration and security have authority. Exclusive economic zone up to 200 nautical miles, where there are exclusive rights to use and explore resources, ICs, outside national boundaries, where there is freedom of navigation, overflight, fishing, and research. Deep-sea mining is considered a common heritage of humanity, which is controlled by the International Seabed Authority. There are mechanisms for dispute settlement such as the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea. Sustainable development, HARMONIZING, growth with people's needs. Recently, the Uttarakhand government gave in-principle approval to the Netala bypass in the Bhagwati eco-sensitive zone. The area is very fragile, and the Supreme Court's high-powered committee had earlier rejected it due to ecological and social concerns. The Ministry of Defense has described it as strategically important. But concerns remain. The Dharli flash flood incident in August 2025 proved that this bypass route is prone to slope instability and subsidence. This decision highlights the conflict between national security, sustainable development, and the needs of the people. Recently, on the 5th of August 2025, a cloudburst in Dharali caused floods, leaving more than 100 people missing and at least 5 deaths. The incident came just 2 weeks after the bypass was approved, further reinforcing the warnings of environmentalists. About eco-sensitive zone. Eco-sensitive zones, or ESZs, are ecologically important and fragile areas surrounding protected areas. These are notified by the central government under the Environment Protection Act 1986. Their guidelines divide activities into 3 categories: prohibited, commercial mining, polluting industries, etc. Regular, cutting trees, building hotels and resorts, etc. These require strict permission. Permitted, agriculture, horticulture, dairy farming, etc. carried out by local communities. Why is there a conflict between sustainable development and people's needs? First, people's economic dependence on natural resources. Tribals, pastoralists and small farmers depend on forests, rivers and pastures. For example, restrictions on grazing in national parks affect their livelihoods. Small businesses are also affected. Strict regulations on brick kilns or textile industries take away jobs, especially for daily wage laborers. Second, development and displacement. More than 40% of the tribal population is being displaced by development projects, such as large dams or renewable energy projects. These people become homeless without adequate rehabilitation. Third, protection of national interest. The Environment Ministry has exempted critical and atomic mineral mining from public consultation under the EIA notification of 2006. Recently, the Forest Conservation and Promotion Amendment Rules 2025 have given special exemption to critical mineral areas for compensatory afforestation. These rules, notified on August 31, 2025, facilitate non-forestry use of forests, but at the cost of the environment. Fourth, deficiencies in policy and governance. Decisions are often made from the top down, in which local people do not participate. The needs of the poor are ignored. Social safety nets are weak. For example, there is no direct support during seasonal fishing bans or mining closures. Fifth, environmental solutions are expensive. Access to clean technologies is limited. Solar pumps or electric vehicles are expensive for poor families. Shifts to green jobs are difficult due to the lack of cheap credit or microfinance. For example, transitions from cheap plastic packaging following plastic bans are difficult. Steps taken by the government. First, the Right to Fair Compensation and Transparency in Land Acquisition, Rehabilitation and Resettlement Act 2013. This law regulates land acquisition and lays down rules for compensation, rehabilitation and resettlement. Under this, social impact assessment is mandatory, so that the impact of the projects on the local people can be understood. For example, if a dam is being built, so first it will be seen how many people will be displaced and what impact it will have on their livelihood. Second, environmental impact assessment. This is mandatory under the Environment Protection Act 1986. Before any major project, such as a bypass or mining, is undertaken, its impact on the environment is examined. Third, the Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers Act 2006. This law was made to correct the historical injustice done to forest dwellers and tribals. Under this, they were given rights over forest land and resources. For example, tribals get rights to collect forest produce or to land for cultivation. Fourth, the Compensatory Afforestation Fund Act, 2016. This law says that if forests are cut down, new afforestation will be done in their place. Some of this fund is used for the development of local communities, such as schools or hospitals. Fifth, District Mineral Foundation, 2015. It was created under the Mines and Minerals Act. The aim is to use mining income to support health, education, and skill development for local communities. The way forward. First, regional and climate-specific planning. Different regions have different needs. For example, infrastructure designed to avoid landslides in the Himalayas, mangroves and storm shelters in coastal areas, and micro-irrigation or drought-resistant crops in arid regions. Second, strengthen the environmental justice system. Strengthening the National Green Tribunal, enhancing the capacity of state pollution control boards, and making EIA more transparent. For example, in cases like Netla bypass, there should be open EIA hearings. Third, participatory decision-making. Involve local communities in project planning through social audits. This will maintain a balance between their needs and sustainable development. Fourth, green employment programs. Promoting programs such as ecotourism, bamboo-based livelihoods, mangrove restoration, and value addition to forest produce. For example, tribal communities in Madhya Pradesh are being supported in the business of mahua and tendu leaves. Fifth, the Just Transition Fund. India could create a fund that helps workers affected by mine closures, green transitions, or seasonal fishing bans. This is especially important for fishermen and mining workers. If you like the video, then like it now. Public consultation and environment impact assessment. Recently, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change exempted mining projects involving atomic, critical and strategic minerals from public consultation under the 2006 Environmental Impact Assessment Notification. This means that it will no longer be necessary to seek the opinion of local people for these projects. These exemptions apply to all atomic minerals and critical and strategic minerals included in the first schedule of the Mines and Minerals Amendment Act, 2023. However, these projects will be appraised at the central level. This decision was taken in 2025 and has sparked debate among environmentalists and local communities. Why were these projects exempted from public consultation? The first reason is to ensure energy security. This exemption will increase the production of minerals like uranium and thorium. For example, thorium is used in the third stage of India's nuclear power program and uranium in the first stage. These are important for the energy needs of the country. Second, strategic use. Rare earth elements are used in the defense sector, like in making radar, sonar, laser, and communication equipment. These are very important from a strategic point of view. Third, reducing import dependence and supply chain risks. India is deficient in REs, and their production and supply is concentrated in only a few places in the world. The exemption will accelerate the production of these minerals, due to which dependence on imports will reduce. Fourth, economic reasons. These exemptions will help in faster launch of projects, attract investment, and increase economic competitiveness. It will take less time and approval will be received quickly. What is public consultation? Public consultation is a part of the EIA process, in which the opinion of local people and other stakeholders is taken about what impact the project will have on the environment and their lives. This is generally required for Category A and Category B1 projects. It has two parts. Public hearing. A hearing is held at or near the project site, where people can express their concerns. Written responses. Stakeholders are asked for their opinions in writing. This process is conducted by the State Pollution Control Board or Union Territory Pollution Control Committee. The hearing details are to be sent to the concerned regulatory authority within 45 days of the applicant's request. Concerns related to exemption from public consultation. The first concern, weakening environmental governance. Public consultation is a legal part of the EIA 2006. Its exemption could lead to a weakening of EIA rules. This undermines environmental democracy under Article 21 and Article 48A of the Constitution. This means that people's right to a clean environment may be affected. Another concern, the lack of quality of project evaluation. Local people know best the problems in their area, such as landslides or water pollution. Without their opinion, the project review remains incomplete. For example, the Silkyara tunnel under the Char Dham project in Uttarakhand was exempted from EIA, resulting in the accident and trapping of many workers. Third concern, escalation of conflict. Without early consultation, local people may initiate protests, litigation, or unrest against projects. For example, the Sterlite copper plant in Tamil Nadu had to be shut down in 2018, following violent protests. because the environmental concerns of the local people were ignored. Fourth concern, weakening participatory governance. Public consultation gives people a voice in policy making. Its exemption reduces transparency and accountability. Sometimes communities don't even know about projects until mining begins. Fifth concern, violation of international commitments. These exemptions are against the principles of the Rio Declaration and the Aarhus Convention. The Aarhus Convention addresses access to information, public participation, and access to justice in environmental matters. This exemption may weaken India's global commitments. What is environmental impact assessment? EIA began in India in the 1970s with impact assessment of river valley projects. The first EIA notification was issued in 1994 under the Environment Protection Act 1986, which was changed by the 2006 notification. Objective of EIA: assessing the environmental impacts of a proposed project or development, including socio-economic, cultural, and human health impacts, be it positive or negative. Categories of projects. Category A. For these, environmental clearance from the central government is necessary. For example, large dams or national highways. Category B. These require approval from the State, Union Territory Environment Impact Assessment Authority. B1. EIA mandatory. B2. Exemption from EIA Environment Audit Rules 2025. Recently, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change notified the Environmental Audit Rules 2025. These rules were published in the Gazette on the 29th of August 2025 and came into force on the same day. Its aim is to create a robust framework for environmental auditing across the country, so that monitoring of environmental compliance is strengthened and ease of doing business is also maintained. These rules complement, not replace, existing monitoring mechanisms. What is environmental audit? An environmental audit is a systematic investigation in which a project, activity, or process is verified, tested, inspected, or analyzed to determine whether it has an impact on the environment. This is different from environmental impact assessment, because EIA is done before the project starts, while EA later. It determines whether the activities are in compliance with the approved environmental management plan. The concept of environmental audit in India came into existence in 1992 through Rule 14 of the Environment Protection Rules. These rules state that units that have obtained consent under the Water Pollution Prevention Act 1974, the Air Pollution Prevention Act 1981, or the Hazardous Waste Management Rules 1989 must submit an environmental report every year. This report is sent to the State Pollution Control Board regarding the Environmental Audit Rules 2025. Objective: to create a formal framework for environmental auditing in the country, so that compliance monitoring is strengthened and business becomes easier. These rules are made under the Environment Protection Act 1986 and are in consonance with laws like Forest Conservation Act 1980, Wildlife Protection Act 1972 etc. Importance: these regulations strengthen compliance with third-party audits, aligning with global standards. This will provide reliable environmental data, which will help in early risk identification and corrective action. This fills existing monitoring gaps. Certification and registration. Environmental auditors will be certified and registered by the Environmental Audit Designated Agency, notified by MO EFCC. EADA will monitor their performance, take disciplinary action, build capacity, and maintain an online register. The methods of certification are recognition of prior learning or national certification examination. Responsibilities: registered EAs will carry out compliance assessment, sampling, analysis, compensation calculation, verification under green credit regulations, and audits under other environment forest laws. They will also be able to verify self-compliance reports by project proponents. They will also conduct audits under EIA 2006, CRZ 2011 etc. Conclusion: the results of the environmental audit will provide important inputs for conservation and restoration efforts, as well as strengthen India's climate commitments. These will help in adopting life principles. These rules will promote environmental responsibility, but success will depend on the competence of auditors, transparency, and enforcement. VAN Amendment Rules 2025. Recently, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change notified the Forest Amendment Rules 2025. These rules bring significant changes to the Forest Rules 2023. The notification was issued on August 31, 2025 and has been made by the central government under the Forest Act 1980. These changes are meant to make development projects easier, but environmentalists say these could undermine forest conservation. Recently, a provision under Rule 15 came into effect on October 1, 2025, which gives forest officials the power to register complaints. What is the Forest Act 1980? This act regulates the non-forestry use of forests. Its aim is to save forests and ensure their conservation. The 2023 amendment had given some relaxations. And now the 2025 rules expand them further. Key highlights of the 2025 amendment rules. First, a shift to compensatory afforestation. The new rules have made protected forest notification optional. That is, the land for CA can either be transferred to the Forest Department or notified as a protected area under the Indian Forest Act 1927 or other laws. Compensatory afforestation means that if forest land is taken for non-forestry use, it is replaced by planting trees elsewhere. These changes make CA flexible, but critics say they could weaken protection guarantees. Second, provision for critical and strategic minerals. Under the Mines and Minerals Act, 1957, compensatory afforestation for mining of critical strategic minerals is mandatory on damaged forest land, and that too for a minimum area of double the damaged forest land. This means that if 1 hectare of forest is cut, so new trees will have to be planted in at least 2 hectares. This energy is useful for security and defense needs, but concerns about environmental impact remain. Third, working permission. State governments can now grant preliminary permission to work for linear projects. Earlier, state governments could raise resources only after receiving in-principle or Stage 1 approval. These changes will help in starting projects faster, especially for defense and projects of national importance. The notification also exempts defense, strategic and public interest projects from offline applications. Evolution of Forest Conservation Act in India. The history of forest conservation in India dates back to the colonial period and has gone through many changes till today. Let us understand it step by step. Indian Forest Act 1865. This was the first legal attempt, the purpose of which was to establish claim on forests for the immediate needs of the state. However, it provided that existing rights should not be curtailed. This act was limited and primarily served British interests. Indian Forest Act 1878. It divided forests into 3 categories: protected forests, reserved forests, and village forests. Its purpose was to control the collection of forest produce. Some activities of the forest dwellers were declared crimes and provisions for punishment and fine were made. Its purpose was to strengthen the state's control over forests. Indian Forest Act 1927. This was a revised and strengthened version of the 1878 Act. Its focus was to tighten state control over forests, regulate the transportation of forest produce, and levy duties on it. These laws are still the basis of forest management in many states. Pre-1980 era. Before the 42nd Constitutional Amendment of 1976, forests were a state list subject, i.e., a right of the states. But this amendment put forests in the concurrent list, due to which both the center and the state got the right to make policies. This increased the interference of the center. Forest Conservation Act 1980. This act was made to stop deforestation. Its aim was to bring non-forestry use of forest land under the control of the center. Main restrictions. No state government or authority can de-reserve any protected forest without the approval of the central government. Forest land cannot be used for non-forestry uses. This act proved to be a milestone in the conservation of forests. Forest Conservation Amendment Act 1988. This further tightened the rules. Leasing of forest land to private entities was banned. Additionally, the definition of non-forestry use was expanded so that more activities come under its scope. Forest Amendment Act 2023. This is a big change recently, which is known as Forest Act. Definition of forest. Any land notified as forest under the Indian Forest Act 1927 or any other law. Land recorded as forest in government records after October 25, 1980. However, land officially converted to non-forestry use before 1996 will not be included. In 2024, the Supreme Court directed that the forest definition of the T.N. Godavarman case should remain in force until the identification of forest land under the 2023 amendment is completed. Exempt land. Land within 100 kilometers of the Indian border for national security or public roads was exempted from the provisions of the Act. If you like the video, then you can share this video with your friends who are preparing for IAS Green Credit Program. Recently, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change released the new methodology for calculation of green credits for tree plantation under the Green Credit Rules 2023. It was notified on the 29th of August 2025 and focuses on the quality of forests. These changes are to promote tree plantation, so that environmental protection is done through market-based incentives. The Green Credit Rules 2023 are framed under the Environment Protection Act 1986. These provide for forest departments of all states and union territories to identify degraded land under their control and increase green cover. First, claiming green credits. The credits can be claimed only after 5 years of restoration of damaged forest land and achieving a minimum canopy density of 40%. Earlier, it was based on the number of trees per hectare. But now the focus is on the development and survival of forests. Second, 1 green credit equals 1 new tree. That is, 1 unit credit will be given for each living and grown tree. Third, credit transfer. These credits are non-tradable and non-transferable. These can be changed only once, but cannot be reused. This ensures that credits are used only once for environmental benefits. About green credits. Green credit is an incentive unit awarded for specified activities that have a positive impact on the environment. For example, activities such as tree planting, mangrove restoration, sustainable agriculture, water conservation, and waste management. These credits can be traded on a dedicated exchange, such as carbon credits. The Green Credit Program operates under the Environment Protection Act 1986. It benefits individuals and communities. In contrast, carbon credits fall under the Carbon Credit Trading Scheme under the Energy Conservation Act 2001, which mainly benefits industries and companies. Green credit activities may be eligible for carbon credits. This provides climate co-benefits such as reducing carbon emissions, but not the reverse. About the Green Credit Program. The Green Credit Program is an innovative market-based mechanism to encourage voluntary tree plantation and water conservation activities across the country. It is part of the Lifestyle for the Environment movement, which was started in 2021. LIFE is an India-led global people's movement that promotes action for environmental protection at the individual and community levels. Installation. This program has been established under the Environment Protection Act 1986, and the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change is its nodal agency. Objective: creation of land bank. Ensuring availability of land for afforestation by registering damaged forest land by forest departments. Encourage participation. Government institutions, private companies, non-governmental organizations, and individuals or groups can participate. Governance structure. Interministerial Steering Committee. This supports the governance structure, which includes cooperation from various ministries. Administrator. The Indian Council of Forestry Research and Education is responsible for the implementation, management, monitoring, and operation of the program. User-friendly digital platform to facilitate project registration, verification, and issuance of green credits. This portal ensures transparency and efficiency. What is green credit? Green credit is an incentive unit given for activities that have a positive impact on the environment. These credits can be traded on a dedicated exchange, such as carbon credits. Other initiatives for afforestation. India has launched many other schemes for afforestation and environmental protection, which complements the Green Credit Program. Mangrove Initiative for Shoreline Habitats and Tangible Incomes 2023. Its goal is to restore and promote mangroves as a unique natural ecosystem. It supports biodiversity, flood protection, and local livelihoods in coastal areas. For example, mangrove afforestation is underway in the Sundarbans. Compensatory Afforestation Fund Act 2016. It provides a legal framework for compensation for ecosystem loss due to non-forestry use of forest land under the Forest Conservation Act 1980. Recently, the Forest Amendment Rules 2025 made it flexible. National Mission for Green India 2014. This scheme focuses on afforestation with people's participation in damaged forest areas. It aims to plant trees in 5 million hectares and improve forest quality in 5 million hectares. National Bamboo Mission 2006. It promotes holistic development of the bamboo sector, emphasizing cultivation and marketing through region-specific strategies. Bamboo helps in soil conservation and carbon absorption. National Policy on Geothermal Energy. The Union Ministry of New and Renewable Energy notified the National Geothermal Energy Policy on September 15, 2025. This is India's first such policy, which will boost efforts to strengthen the renewable energy mix and achieve the net zero carbon emissions target by 2070. The policy also approved 5 pilot projects focused on resource assessment and demonstration. What is geothermal energy? Geothermal energy uses heat stored beneath the Earth's surface. This is a renewable source, which can provide electricity or heat 24 hours a day, regardless of the weather. Main sources and uses. High enthalpy processing. For electricity generation, from volcanic areas, geysers and hot springs. Low to medium enthalpy processing. Direct uses from hot rocks and shallow layers, such as heating, cooling, agri-food processing, fisheries, and geothermal heat pumps. Estimated potential in India. India's geothermal potential is 10,600 megawatts. The Geological Survey of India has identified 381 hot springs and 10 geothermal provinces such as Himalaya, Naga Lusai, Andaman Nicobar, Sun Narmada Tapi, Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, Gujarat, etc. Challenges of geothermal energy development in India. First, the high initial cost. Exploration and drilling are capital intensive. Second, higher investment risk. The uncertainty of finding commercially viable reservoirs keeps private players away. Third, lack of exploration and data. Evaluation of deep drilling is limited, and the complex geological structure of the Himalayas or volcanic regions makes resource estimation difficult. Fourth, lack of commercial projects. There is only a 20 kilowatts pilot plant in Mangalore, Telangana, and no utility-scale projects. Fifth, lack of technology and skills. Lack of indigenous drilling and reservoir management technology and expertise. Sixth, environmental and social concerns. Land subsidence, seismic risks, and water pollution if re-injection is not managed. About national policy on geothermal energy. Vision: to make geothermal a key pillar of India's renewable energy mix to achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2070. MNRE is its nodal ministry. 2025 policy goals: improve research on geothermal development, exploration, drilling techniques, reservoir management, and cost-effective power generation. Adopting global best practices in collaboration with ministries, international geothermal bodies, and national research institutes. Deploy geothermal heating, cooling, and direct use solutions to decarbonize buildings, agriculture, industries. Creating an enabling ecosystem through public-private partnerships, capacity building, and knowledge sharing. Key features of the National Policy on Geothermal Energy 2025. Scope of the policy: geothermal resource assessment and use. The policy covers resource assessment, power generation systems, direct uses and ground source heat pumps. Emerging innovation technologies. This includes enhanced geothermal systems, advanced geothermal systems, geothermal energy storage, and offshore geothermal wells. Geothermal energy from abandoned oil and gas wells. Reusing old oil and gas wells to extract geothermal energy. Mineral byproducts. Production of mineral byproducts like silica, borax, cesium, lithium, which will be subject to royalty and regulations under the MMDR Act. Creation of a geothermal resources data repository. Creating data repositories through interministerial and interagency collaboration, such as with the Ministry of Mines, Ministry of Earth Sciences, Geological Survey of India, and National Data Repository. Operators, developers will be allowed to conduct geothermal resource surveys for research, development, and evaluation. Development model. Preference given to indigenous geothermal technologies. Promote local innovation, thereby reducing dependence on imports. Economic viability models. Models such as revenue sharing and milestone-based payments. Central financial assistance, special assistance to the northeastern region, and special category states. Joint ventures, partnerships between oil and gas companies, mineral companies, and geothermal developers. Reuse of oil and gas facilities, reuse of facilities such as pipelines for geothermal. Pilot projects and centers of excellence for research and training. For example, 5 pilot projects were approved in 2025, which focus on resource assessment. Promoting safe and non-polluting technologies, so that the use of geothermal fluid or byproducts does not harm the environment. Develop environmental and social impact assessment guidelines for geothermal projects. Financial mechanism. Renewable Energy Research and Technology Development Program, up to 100% financial support to government, non-profit research organizations, and up to 70% to industry, startups, private institutions, entrepreneurs, and manufacturing units. Long-term concessional loans, sovereign green bonds, and viability gap funding. Financial incentives. GST, import duty exemption on equipment and services. Incentives such as tax holidays. Support mechanism. Inclusion in the Indian Carbon Credit Trading Scheme. Waiver of interstate grid access and open access charges. Eligibility for renewable purchase obligation. Guidelines for states and union territories. Geothermal exploration development permits and land leases. States will grant these. The exploration lease will be for 3 to 5 years, and the development lease will be up to 30 years. Single window clearance, managed by state nodal agencies. Stakeholder consultation, ensuring adequate compensation measures, especially in tribal and remote areas. Conclusion. The NPGE 2025 addresses challenges facing the geothermal sector, such as high costs, risks, and technology gaps. It facilitates approval, promotes research and partnerships, and provides financial incentives. With local innovation, stakeholder consultation and pilot projects, the policy lays a strong foundation for sustainable and reliable geothermal development. National BIOFOUNDRY Network and BioE3 Policy. Recently, on the 25th of August 2025, India launched its first National Biofoundry Network, which also marks the first anniversary of India's BioE3 policy. About the National Biofoundry Network, this network is part of the BioE3 strategy, and it is placed in the Bioenablers category. Its main objective is to convert proof-of-concept projects into viable technologies. POC is meant to test the feasibility of an idea, but not assess market demand or production method. What is a biofoundry? It is an automated facility that rapidly designs, manufactures and optimizes engineered organisms by integrating DNA synthesis, gene editing, and high-throughput biomanufacturing workflows. Its functions: scaling up research in various fields. For example, the International Center for Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology is working on microbial strain engineering for first and second generation biofuels, while IIT Madras is scaling up animal-free production of hyaluronic acid, providing shared infrastructure for startups, SMEs, industries, and educational institutions. Provide training and internships to develop the interdisciplinary and cross-functional skills required for biomanufacturing. This network will collaborate with global biofoundry networks and will provide funding of up to 25 lakh rupees to 100 innovators through BIRAC. About BioE3 Biotechnology for Economy, Environment and Employment Policy. This is India's first biotechnology policy, which was approved by the Union Cabinet in 2024. It is being implemented by the Department of Biotechnology under the Ministry of Science and Technology. Objective: revolutionizing biomanufacturing to increase efficiency, sustainability and quality, and accelerate the development and production of high-value bio-based products. To double India's bioeconomy to $300 billion by 2030. It has increased from $10 billion in 2014 to $165.7 billion in 2024. Key features of the BioE3 policy: innovation-led R&D and entrepreneurship, strong support for research and startups. Technology development and commercialization, accelerating progress through biomanufacturing, bio-AI hubs, and biofoundries. Green growth model, prioritizing regenerative and circular bioeconomy practices. PPP-based implementation, public-private partnerships to increase industry participation, expand skilled workforce and create jobs. The policy is linked to net zero carbon economy and lifestyle for environment. Key achievements of the BioE3 policy. Infrastructure. 21 advanced bioenabler facilities have been established under the policy, which includes the Beriki National Agri-Food Biomanufacturing Institute. These features promote biomanufacturing such as biofuels, smart proteins and biotherapeutics. For example, ICGEB is working on microbial strains for biofuels. Interministerial cooperation. An MOU was signed between the Department of Biotechnology and ISRO, under which life science experiments are being conducted on the International Space Station. This reflects India's progress in space biotechnology. This MOU was signed in 2025, which took India to the global stage. Center-state partnership, initiated in partnership with the government of Assam, so that regional biodiversity can be used in biomanufacturing. The rich biodiversity of Assam can provide raw material for bio-based products. This partnership began in 2025 and is becoming a model for other states. Human capital development. The BioE3 Youth Challenge was launched, giving young people the opportunity to innovate for health, agriculture, the environment, and industry. This challenge started from October 2025, in which every month the top 10 winners will get a prize of 1 lakh rupees. This is a big step towards encouraging young scientists. Gene-edited crops. India became the first country to develop gene-edited rice varieties for nutritional security and climate adaptation. This achievement demonstrates India's leadership in biotechnology and is a game-changer for food security. BioE3 policy challenges. Lack of milestones. There are no clear milestones to track the progress of the policy. This makes it difficult to evaluate progress. Lack of human capital. There is a lack of expertise in areas such as microbial strain engineering and bioprocessing. This requires more practical training and interdisciplinary programs. Barriers to scale up. The valley of death from discovery to commercialization is a major challenge. Limited funding and development constraints make this difficult. For example, startups face hurdles going from prototype to mass production. Commercialization hurdles. Good manufacturing practices units require high capital investment. The local supply chain of raw materials is limited, due to which dependence on expensive imported goods increases. Additionally, fragmented logistics hinder growth. Biosafety and public trust. There is ongoing debate about biosafety for gene-edited crops. This requires responsible scientific communication and transparency, so that the trust of the public can be won. Biosafety was recently discussed at a biotech conference on September 15, 2025, where experts highlighted the need to increase awareness. Conclusion. The BioE3 policy and the National Biofoundry Network are leading India towards a sustainable, self-reliant and green bioeconomy. The target of a bioeconomy of $300 billion by 2030 and $2.7 trillion by 2050 will make India a global bioeconomy powerhouse. This policy will also play an important role in national and international net zero carbon emission targets. You can watch the videos of Vision IAS magazine of all these months from these playlists. River pollution in India. Recently, the Central Pollution Control Board released the assessment report titled Polluted River Stretches for Restoration of Water Quality 2025. This report was made public on the 24th of September 2025, which contains data based on the water quality of the country's rivers. The CPCB, in collaboration with the state pollution control boards, runs the National Water Quality Monitoring Program, which examines the water resources of the country. CPCB has been identifying polluted river stretches since 2009. What is a polluted river stretch? Polluted river stretch means a continuous sequence of two or more polluted spots on a river. CPCB identifies it on the basis of biochemical oxygen demand. BOD is a key indicator of water quality, measuring the amount of oxygen needed to break down organic matter. If the BOD is greater than 3 mg per liter, so that section is considered polluted. PRS is divided into 5 priority classes based on BOD level. For example, Priority Class 1 includes locations with BOD greater than 30.1 mg per liter. Key figures from the 2025 report. According to the report, 296 polluted stretches were found on 271 rivers out of 645 rivers in 32 states and union territories. This number has decreased from 351 in 2018 to 311 in 2022 and now to 296 in 2025, which is a sign of improvement. However, BOD levels in 85 blocks remain the same as in 2018. That means no change. Maharashtra tops the geographical distribution, where there are 54 polluted sections. It is followed by Bihar, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh. Notable PRSs include the Yamuna in Delhi, the Sabarmati in Ahmedabad, the Chambal in Madhya Pradesh, the Tungabhadra in Karnataka and the Sarbanga in Tamil Nadu. The 37 sections of Priority I are the most serious, whereas Priority V has 148. Due to the reform, 148 old PRS are now out of the list. Sources of river pollution. First, untreated sewage. According to CPCB, more than 60% of untreated sewage is discharged into rivers every day. The 2021 CPCB report states that 368 million liters per day of sewage is generated from urban centers, but the treatment efficiency is very low. For example, Delhi's sewage is a major threat to the Ganga and Yamuna. Second, untreated industrial waste. Waste from chemical, sugar, paper and leather industries is full of toxic chemicals, which pose a health risk. For example, fish are dying in Tungabhadra due to industrial pollution. Third, other sources, municipal solid waste, agricultural runoff, sand mining and illegal encroachment. These non-point sources increase pollution. Framework for river regeneration. Legal framework. Water Act 1974. It created the Central Pollution Control Board as the central body for planning and regulation of environmental matters. State pollution control boards were given the responsibility of enforcing environmental standards in the states. Environment Protection Rules, 1986. These rules, made under the Environment Protection Act 1986, set standards for industrial waste, such as how much pollution can be discharged into rivers. Waste Management Rules. The government has made rules for solid waste, biomedical waste, and e-waste management. For example, the Solid Waste Management Rules 2016 emphasize preventing municipal waste from entering rivers. River Regeneration Program, Namami Gange Program. This is an advanced version of the Ganga Action Plan. It is implemented by the National Mission for Clean Ganga. Its aim is to clean the Ganga and its tributaries. By 2025, it created 4,500 MLD sewage treatment capacity, but areas like Delhi still discharge untreated sewage into the river. Yamuna Action Plan started in 1993. It aims to clean polluted stretches of the Yamuna River, especially in Delhi. However, the Yamuna remains a priority I stretch in Delhi in the CPCB's 2025 report. National River Conservation Plan. This is for polluted stretches of rivers other than the Ganga Basin. It provides financial and technical assistance to the state's union territories. For example, work is underway on the Sabarmati and Tungabhadra sections. National Water Quality Monitoring Program. It monitors the water quality of rivers, lakes and wells through a network of CPCB and SPCBs. It advises on preventing, controlling and setting standards for pollution. The CPCB report of 2025 is a part of this. Sewerage infrastructure plans. Atal Mission for Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation. It works on increasing sewage treatment plants and water supply in cities. Smart Cities Mission. It improves waste management and water treatment in urban areas. Swachh Bharat Mission. It reduces pollution in rivers by eliminating solid waste and open defecation. Main recommendations. Some important suggestions for river regeneration are source control, identification and management of pollution sources, such as monitoring the condition of sewage treatment plants and industrial effluent treatment plants. Solid waste management facilities are also essential. Basin management, management of river valleys and floodplains. This includes maintaining minimum environmental flow, protection of floodplains, rainwater harvesting and tree plantation along riverbanks. E-flow refers to the flow of water in rivers that is essential for ecosystems and human livelihoods. Removal of encroachment. To create biodiversity parks by removing illegal encroachments from flood areas. For example, efforts are underway to remove encroachments along the banks of the Yamuna in Delhi. Sewage treatment. Taking sewage drains to STP and reusing treated sewage so that exploitation of groundwater or surface water is reduced. Use of technology. Real-time monitoring and waste management through advanced technologies like AI, robotics and remote sensing. For example, drones have been used to monitor the Ganga. Conclusion. The CPCB's 2025 report shows that the number of polluted river stretches has reduced from 351 to 296, a result of collective efforts. However, there are still 37 sections in Priority I, where BOD is more than 30 milligrams per liter. By strengthening sewage and waste management, tightening industrial compliance and harnessing technology, India can make its rivers the lifeline of prosperity. Great Nicobar Island Project. The Union Ministry of Tribal Affairs has recently sought a factual report from the Andaman and Nicobar Islands Administration. The complaint is that the forest rights of the tribals under the Forest Rights Act 2006 were not determined before diverting forest land for the Great Nicobar Island Project. The project's approval is currently being challenged in the Kolkata High Court. And the ministry tried to recuse itself from the case in February 2025. Now, in a little more detail. Tribal councils in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands have been created under the Andaman and Nicobar Islands Regulations, 2009. They have advisory and limited executive powers, but they do not have the same legislative, executive or judicial powers as the autonomous councils under the 6th schedule of the Constitution. The administration says there is no need to implement FRA, because the forest rights of tribals are already protected under the Protection of Aboriginal Tribes Act 1956. But PAT 56 gives the administration unilateral power to divert forest land, whereas FRA mandates taking consent from Gram Sabhas and deciding rights. Now, what is the Great Nicobar Island Project? This is a massive greenfield infrastructure project conceived by Niti Aayog, which was approved by the Union Cabinet in 2021. Its nodal agency is the Andaman and Nicobar Islands Integrated Development Corporation, a government company formed in 1988. The total cost is now said to be 81,000 crore rupees. The main parts of the project are: International Transshipment Port, Galathea Bay. A deep-sea port will be built on the southern coast of the island. It will be overseen by the Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways. Being near the Strait of Malacca, it has strategic importance for trade and defense. Greenfield International Airport, a new international airport, which will be for both military and civilian use. 450 megawatts power plant, solar and gas-based power plant. Recently, in April 2025, NTPC invited bids for 5 megawatt solar project. Modern Township, a modern township incorporating tourism, industry and housing. The government is planning to bring 10 lakh tourists annually. It will cover a total area of 244 square kilometers, which includes 130 square km of rainforest. Importance of the project. Strategic location. The geographical location of Great Nicobar makes it very important for India's security and maritime influence. It is at the mouth of the Strait of Malacca, the world's busiest shipping lane, through which 1/3 of global maritime trade passes. It is also close to the Sunda Strait, Lombok Strait, and the Coco Islands, which are important choke points in the Indo-Pacific region. Regional Maritime Hub. The transshipment port to be built at Galathea Bay will attract cargo traffic from Singapore and Colombo, as it is close to the Malacca Strait. Currently, 75% of India's transshipped cargo goes to foreign ports. This port will make India a regional shipping hub. Improve connectivity. The new international airport and port will connect Great Nicobar to the Indian mainland and beyond. This will facilitate tourism, trade, and strategic logistics. The government aims to attract 10 lakh tourists annually. Protect. The deep sea port and airfield will strengthen the Tri-Services Military Command of Andaman and Nicobar. India will be able to deploy ships, aircraft, and drones in the eastern Indian Ocean so that important sea routes can be monitored and security in the region can be increased. Economic development and regional progress. The port will lead to foreign exchange savings, foreign direct investment, and boost economic activities at other Indian ports. Logistics infrastructure will also improve. Ecological, social, and geological concerns. Tribal rights. The project may adversely impact the Shompen and Nicobarese tribals. In September 2025, the Tribal Council complained that the Forest Rights Act was not being followed. The influx of workers and outsiders has exposed the Shompen to the threat of disease because their immunity is low. There is also a fear of displacement. Ecological concerns. Great Nicobar is a rich biodiversity region of India, where 85% of the area is covered with tropical rainforest. Impact on species. Galathea Bay, where the port will be built, is a protected wetland under the Ramsar Convention and is the most important nesting site for leatherback sea turtles. Dredging will dig up millions of cubic meters of seabed, due to which coral reefs and seagrass meadows can be destroyed. Deforestation. Around 9.6 lakh trees will be cut, due to which the carbon absorption capacity of the area will be reduced. Coastal changes. Mangrove belts in Galathea, which protect against tsunamis and storms, will be removed. Geological and disaster risk. Great Nicobar is in seismic zone V, where the megathrust fault line of the devastating 2004 tsunami is located. In July 2025, geologists again warned of an earthquake. Conclusion. The Great Nicobar project has tremendous potential to strengthen connectivity, trade, and defense. But the island's fragile ecology, tribal rights, and disaster risks cannot be ignored. The right path is to adopt a phased, environmentally friendly, and community-inclusive development model that protects biodiversity and cultural heritage while responsibly advancing national interests. In February 2025, 80 crore rupees was given for environmental monitoring, which is a step in the right direction. You can watch all the videos from this month's magazine in this playlist. Dam safety in India. Recently, researchers from IAS Bhopal conducted a study in which the problem of siltation in large dams of India was studied. This study is based on a report of the Central Water Commission. Siltation is a natural process in which soil particles flow with water and get deposited in dams. This soil comes through rivers, rain, or wind. More than 300 large dams were studied in this study, whose water storage capacity is more than 100 million cubic meters. Listen to the main points of this study. Many dams have lost more than half their water storage capacity because they are filled with silt. By 2050, dams on east-flowing rivers beyond the Godavari and west-flowing rivers beyond the Tapi could lose more than half their capacity. The rate of silt deposition is fastest in the Himalayan region. Apart from this, Narmada-Tapi east-flowing rivers and Indo-Gangetic plains are also in danger. Now the question is, where does this silt come from? Its main causes are deforestation, soil erosion from agriculture, soil erosion from mountains due to rain, and uncontrolled land use. Due to these, silt is accumulating in the dams, due to which the space for storing water is decreasing. What is its effect? Water shortage, reduction in power generation, reduced agricultural production, and increasing disputes over water. For example, about 1,600,000 on rivers flowing eastwards beyond the Godavari are struggling to meet the water needs of agriculture and industries in South India. Now let's talk about other problems of dam safety. Many dams in India are very old. As of 2023, 1065 dams are 50 to 100 years old, and 224 DECAMILLISECOND are more than 100 years old. Older dams may have problems such as leaks, weak foundations, or rusting pipes. Earthquakes are also a threat to dams. For example, the 2001 earthquake in Bhuj, Gujarat, weakened the foundation of the Chung Dam. Apart from this, there is a danger of glacial lakes bursting in the Himalayan region. In 2023, the Chungthang Dam in Sikkim was washed away by a similar flood. Another problem is overtopping. That is, when flood water starts flowing over the dam. India's first dam, Tigra Dam, collapsed in 1917 due to this reason. Finally, there are also management problems. For example, an audit of the Gandhi Sagar Dam in Madhya Pradesh revealed that the state dam safety organization there did not properly implement the advice of the Central Water Commission. We'll talk about the steps taken for dam safety in India. Firstly, the Government of India enacted the Dam Safety Act in 2021. This law ensures the monitoring, operation, and maintenance of dams so that incidents like dam bursts do not occur. Under this law, institutions have been created at the national and state levels. At the national level, the National Committee on Dam Safety and the National Dam Safety Authority operate. At the state level, there is State Committee on Dam Safety and State Dam Safety Organization. All of them together keep an eye on the safety of the dams. The second is the National Register of Large Dams, which is prepared by the Central Water Commission. This is a national record for all large dams in India, in which there is complete information about them. Third, Dam Rehabilitation and Improvement Project, i.e. DRIP. In its second and third phases, work is underway to repair 736 DECAMILLISECOND in 19 states. The project has received loans from the World Bank and the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, so that the dams can be strengthened. Fourth, the SHAISYS tool has been created to protect dams from earthquakes. This tool analyzes the strength of an earthquake and explains what impact it could have on dams. Some states have also established dam safety review panels, who thoroughly inspect the dams. Apart from this, there is National Center for Earthquake Safety of Dams at MNIT Jaipur. There is also a software called Dharma, which monitors the health of dams. What is happening to dam safety around the world? In 1998, the World Bank and IUCN created the World Commission on Dams, which provides guidelines for the planning, monitoring, and removal of dams. Also, there is the International Commission on Large Dams, formed in 1928, which shares knowledge in dam engineering. India's INCOLD is a part of it. What should be done next? First of all, we should learn from countries like Japan and Switzerland to deal with the problem of silt. Sediment bypass systems are used in Japan and controlled silt discharge methods are used in Switzerland. In India too, different measures will have to be taken according to the region. For example, in sensitive areas like the Himalayas, it is necessary to plant forests, control water flow, and remove silt from time to time. Soil erosion can also be prevented by building small check dams. Like Japan, subsurface dams can be built in India too, which are less risky than surface dams. Also, the use of technology will have to be increased. Dams can be monitored using satellite and IoT sensors. Apart from this, regular inspections should be conducted by independent agencies. Dams that are in a very dangerous condition, they will have to be removed in a phased manner. A risk-based decision-making system must be created so that the most important tasks are done first. Ultimately, we need global technologies, regional measures, and strict regulations to protect India's dams from threats like siltation, aging structures, earthquakes, and climate change. With this, we will be able to use our water resources properly. If possible, please like the video and leave a nice comment. This encourages us to make good videos. Disaster Risk Financing. The Chief Minister of Himachal Pradesh has urged the 16th Finance Commission to revise the Disaster Risk Index so that the special weaknesses of the hill states can be shown properly. This demand was made in September 2025, when he met the chairman of the commission. First, let us look at why the hill states of the Indian Himalayan region are so vulnerable to disasters. The first reason is geographical. The Himalayas are tectonically active, meaning they are prone to earthquakes, and it is mostly made up of unconsolidated soil. The flow of water in rivers like Alaknanda, Bhagirathi and Mandakini erodes the soil. Secondly, rain, cloudburst or melting snow wash away soil from the mountains, due to which land subsidence occurs. For example, what happened in Joshimath in 2023 is an example of this. The second reason is climate change. Changes in temperature and rainfall are causing glacier retreat, heavy rainfall, cloudbursts and avalanches. Remember the 2013 Uttarakhand floods? That was also the result of this. Third, socio-economic reasons. Forests in the mountains are being cut down for farming, grazing or construction, due to which avalanches and landslides increase. Large hydropower projects like the Tehri Dam reservoir block the natural flow of rivers. Fourth, human factors. Construction of roads, digging of tunnels, hydro projects, encroachment on river banks. On top of that, the burden of tourism. The Himalayan region receives around 100 million tourists every year, and this could reach 240 million by 2025. This puts pressure on resources. Now let us know about Disaster Risk Index, IEDRI. It is a measurement tool that measures the risk of various types of disasters in an area. It is used in disaster financing. It tells how likely a disaster is to occur, what its intensity will be, how vulnerable the area is, and how much it could be affected. This helps in taking right decisions and allocating resources. DRI was introduced by the 15th Finance Commission for 2021 to 26. He included it in the formula for distribution of National Disaster Response Fund, IENDRF, and State Disaster Fund. Its components are 70 points for disaster potential and 30 points for vulnerability. Disasters include landslides, floods, earthquakes, droughts, etc. To measure vulnerability, the population below the poverty line is taken as the basis. But this is not enough for the hill states, because it does not include hazards like landslides, snow avalanches, cloudbursts. That is why Himachal got less funds. Whereas the loss was more than 15,000 crore rupees. What are the arrangements for this in India? First, the 15th Finance Commission introduced a new mechanism for disaster risk financing in India. Earlier, the allocation of funds was based on the previous expenditure of the states. But now the new method looks at 4 things. Past expenditure, level of risk, area and population, and disaster susceptibility and vulnerability, IEDRI. This method is more scientific, but it also has some drawbacks. The 15th Finance Commission recommended the creation of 2 new funds, the National Disaster Mitigation Fund and the State Disaster Mitigation Fund. The central government has created the NDMF, and all the states except Telangana have given information about creating SDMF. The central government contributes 75% to the SDMF. And for the northeastern and Himalayan states, it is 90%. This provides states with resources for disaster relief. However, there are some problems with this system. First, apply the same rules to everyone. This approach fails to address the specific problems of hilly states, coastal areas, or other sensitive locations. For example, the DRI does not cover disasters such as landslides, avalanches, cloudbursts, forest fires, or glacial lake outbursts, which have increased in recent years. The washing away of the Chumthang Dam in Sikkim in 2023 is an example of this. Second problem, insufficient resources. States like Himachal Pradesh, which face more disasters, have lower DRI scores. They receive less funds than they need. In 2025, the Chief Minister of Himachal Pradesh said that despite losses of 15,000 crore rupees, they did not receive adequate help. Tisri Bhaugolik Asamanta. States with larger areas receive more funds even if their risk is lower. Fourth, giving 70% weightage to the expenditure of the last 7 years. Due to this, the states which used to spend more earlier, they still receive more funding, even if their current risk position is different. Now what can we do to improve it? First, making DRI scientific and flexible. This will have to include disasters like landslides, cloudbursts, avalanches. Second, pay attention to geographical features. Not just the area but also the risky areas like hilly areas, coastal areas, or marshy lands will have to be looked at separately. Third, the inclusion of socio-economic indicators. Currently only the poverty line is taken as the basis. But the composite vulnerability score of NDMA should be used. This will include aspects such as unsafe buildings, social infrastructure, industries, rural-urban populations, and deforestation. Fourth, better use of data. Remote sensing, IoT sensors, and data collection should be done at the panchayat level. Disaster data repository will have to be created at the district level. Fifth, the DRF methodology should be reviewed every 5 years, so that the latest climate and disaster data is used. Finally, disaster risk financing is an important part of India's disaster management system. But in the era of climate change, regional disparities, and complex threats, it will have to be tailored to the vulnerabilities, local adaptive capacity, and climate realities of the hill states. This will not only ensure fair distribution of resources, rather, India's future will be disaster safe and climate friendly. State Energy Efficiency Index 2024. Let's talk about State Energy Efficiency Index, IESEEI 2024. Imagine, saving energy is like a game where states compete with each other. This index shows how far India is progressing in energy savings. It has a scorecard. Maharashtra topped its group, where energy consumption is more than 15 million tons of oil equivalent. Andhra Pradesh is the leader in the second group, where consumption ranges from 5 to 15 million tons of oil. Assam tops the third group, states with consumption of 1 to 5 million tons, and Tripura is the best in the fourth group, where consumption is less than 1 million ton. What is SEEI now? This is the State Energy Efficiency Index. It has been developed by the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, IEBE. Its partner is the Alliance for an Energy Efficient Economy, or AEE. This is the 6th edition, released on August 29, 2025. What is its purpose? It evaluates the energy efficiency of 36 states and union territories, monitors with data, shares best practices, and fosters healthy competition. Just as getting good marks in class motivates everyone, states adopt new ways to save energy. States are divided into 4 categories. Frontrunners, those who score more than 60%. Then the achievers, those with 50 to 60%. Contenders, 30 to 50%. And aspirants, less than 30%. This time the frontrunners were reduced to just 5. Earlier there were 7. States like Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh still remain on top. State Energy Efficiency Action Plans launched by BEE. These add energy efficiency to the sectors that consume the most energy, like buildings, industry, transport. All 36 states have now made such plans. This is reducing CO2 emissions. And our environment is getting cleaner. You can watch the full video of Vision IAS Magazine 2025 year in Hindi and English from this courses tab. Monsoon-related extreme weather events. Recent events like the Punjab floods, landslides and floods in Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh and Jammu and Kashmir show how intense and frequent these events are becoming. First, what are these recent events saying? Heavy rains in Punjab during the 2025 monsoon caused the Ravi, Beas and Sutlej rivers to overflow. In August-September, more than 1,400 villages were submerged, affecting 3.5 lakh people and causing more than 29 deaths. There was heavy damage to farms and schools remained closed. Similarly, in Uttarakhand, 5 people were killed in flash floods in August. 50 missing and Char Dham Yatra stopped. In Himachal, a landslide in September claimed the lives of 3 members of a family, causing 15 deaths and trapping 900 people. Heavy rains in Jammu and Kashmir caused the Tavi River to reach danger levels, block roads and record 139 deaths. All this shows that the monsoon has now become irregular, due to which disasters are increasing. Now, what is the changing nature of monsoon? The biggest change is the irregular pattern of rainfall. Research shows that monsoon winds are weakening, but due to increase in temperature, humidity in the atmosphere is increasing. This causes intense rainstorms, but there were long dry spells in between. For example, the total rainfall in 2025 was 108% of normal. Secondly, the relationship between El Nino and monsoon is changing. Earlier, El Nino caused less rainfall in India, but now this relationship has weakened due to changing global wind patterns. Neutral ENSO persisted in 2025, yet extreme events increased. Third, the specific distribution of monsoon is changing. Damp areas are drying up. Dry areas are becoming wet. For example, rainfall is decreasing in Ganga Basin states like Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, whereas it is increasing in Saurashtra of Gujarat and Rajasthan. Finally, the role of climate change. Monsoon patterns are deteriorating due to rising sea levels and temperatures. The cloud's ability to hold water increased, leading to increased rainfall intensity. Warmer oceans are increasing humidity, due to which dangers like flood and landslide loom. If you liked the video, then like it now. State of Global Water Resources, 2024. We will talk about the status of global water resources in 2024, which is a report released by the World Meteorological Organization. This report shows how erratic the water world has become due to climate change. It was launched on the 17th of September 2025. 2024 was the world's hottest year, where temperatures reached 1.55 degrees Celsius above the industrial era. This severely affected water resources. Now, the main points of the report. First, glacier melt. All glacier areas around the world are suffering losses due to melting for the 3rd consecutive year. Many smaller glaciers have now reached or are about to reach peak water points, meaning the more the glacier melts, the more water we will get. But after that, the water will reduce due to shrinkage. Due to this, the danger of rivers drying up is increasing. Second, irregular water cycle. 2/3 of global river basin areas have either too much or too little water. Only 1/3 remained in normal condition. This led to an increase in extreme events. For example, unusually heavy rainfall in tropical Africa, widespread flooding in Europe and Asia. Meanwhile, severe drought hit the Amazon basin and other parts of South America. Drought also in southern Africa, while central, western and eastern Africa, parts of Asia and central Europe are more humid. Now, what is the water cycle? It refers to the continuous movement of water through the earth and atmosphere. It consists of pools and fluxes. Pools are places where water collects, like lakes, glaciers, atmosphere. Fluxes meaning how water moves between these pools, such as changing state by evaporation or condensation. This cycle is the basis of life. What is the impact of climate change? A warming climate is accelerating the cycle because evaporation is increasing. More water is accumulating in the atmosphere, due to which extreme weather like drought, heavy rainfall and storms are increasing. Melting glaciers and seawater expansion are causing sea levels to rise, flooding coastal areas. Production Gap Report, 2025. It launched on the 23rd of September 2025, marking the 10th anniversary of the Paris Agreement. It has been prepared by Stockholm Environment Institute, Climate Analytics and International Institute for Sustainable Development. This is the 5th edition, the first coming in 2019. Now the main highlights. First, massive overproduction. The report says that by 2030, planned fossil fuel production will be 120% higher than the 1.5-degree warming limit and 77% higher than 2 degrees. This is worse than the 2023 report, where the gap was 110% and 69%, meaning governments are planning to more than double coal, oil and gas extraction. As climate safe as it is, this will cause global warming to become uncontrolled. Second, coal is the most misaligned. Projected global coal production in 2030 will be 500% higher than under the 1.5-degree pathway. That is, coal planning is so high that it has become the biggest threat. An investigation of 20 major producer countries revealed that together they are increasing the gap. Third, fossil fuel subsidies by governments remain near record highs. Despite promises, subsidies remain at around $7 trillion in 2024, hindering the clean energy transition. The report says that governments are caught up in short-term energy security, whereas renewables are the real solution. Grey Rhino event. A new study has revealed that the devastating landslide in Wayanad, Kerala was also one such grey rhino event. First of all, what is a grey rhino event? Grey rhinos are at risk with a very high potential for extinction, whose impact is huge, but we ignored them. These are systemic disruptions. That is, they shake the entire system. This is not a sudden surprise, like black swan events, which are completely unpredictable. Rather, there are clear warnings before the grey rhino arrives, and evidence accumulates. But we keep sleeping. For example, if it is the rainy season and the mountainous terrain is weakening, the danger is clear, but we are not prepared. Now, why is it being said that the July 2024 landslide in Wayanad, Kerala was a grey rhino event? A new study, titled Sliding Earth Scattered Lives, released in September 2025, proved this. This study was prepared by Transition Studies and Western Ghats Samrakshan Samiti after 10 months of research. There have been several landslides in recent years, like the one in Puthumala in 2019. But the government ignored the warnings. In July 2024, more than 600 millimeters of rain fell in 2 days. Local centers issued warnings, but no action was taken. The result? 231 people were killed, hundreds were missing. This threat had been brewing for years. Deforestation, expanding plantations, building unplanned settlements on the mountains. The evidence was there for all to see, but ignored. If you have any suggestion regarding this video, please write it in the comment box of this video. Super Typhoon. Recently, a very strong and dangerous storm hit the Philippines, named Super Typhoon Ragasa. What is a super typhoon? A super typhoon is a tropical cyclone whose wind speed is more than 185 kilometers per hour. Now, what is a tropical cyclone? A tropical cyclone is a storm which forms over the sea, where the sea temperature exceeds 26 degrees Celsius. This storm forms at a latitude of 5 degrees or above. The air beneath it circulates inward and it comes out upwards. Because of this, it is called a warm core low pressure system. It is not called a tropical cyclone everywhere. It is called by different names in different parts of the world. In North Atlantic and North Pacific Ocean, it is called hurricane. In the Indian Ocean, it is called cyclone. In the Western North Pacific, it is called typhoon. And around Australia, it is called Willy Willy. Hydroelectric projects in news. Firstly, the Savalakot project. This is a run-of-the-river project. That means it will generate electricity from the flow of the river without any big dam on the Chenab River in Ramban and Udhampur districts of Jammu and Kashmir. Why in the news? When the Indus Water Treaty was suspended after the Pahalgam attack in April 2025, the centre awarded the tender to NHPC in July 2025. This will become the UT's largest 856 megawatts project. Now Hio and Tatoe projects. Both are on the Siom River, in Shiomi district of Arunachal Pradesh, which is close to the China border. The Siom River originates in the eastern Himalayas, flows from west to east. It then joins the Siang, which is the name of the Brahmaputra in Arunachal. Why special? These are in the border area, where China also remains strong. Cabinet approved in November 2024 -1 rupees 939 crore for Hio 240 megawatts, 1 rupee 750 crore for Tatoe 186 megawatts. These were approved by the Arunachal Cabinet in May 2025, and Tatoe received 8,000 crore rupees in August. Finally, the Urju hydroelectric project. It is on the Subansiri River, near the India-China border, in Tuxing, Upper Subansiri district. The Subansiri originates in Tibet, the largest tributary of the Brahmaputra, a trans-Himalayan antecedent river. It enters Arunachal, flows through Assam, then joins the Brahmaputra. It is called the Gold River, because gold dust was mixed in the water. In September 2025, the Environment Ministry's expert committee recommended clearance for the 220 megawatts project, Barren Island Volcano. Let's talk about the Barren Island Volcano, where a fresh eruption has been reported recently. On October 19th and 20th, 2025, ash and steam plumes spread in a west-northwest direction, reaching a height of 1.5 kilometers. Earlier, there were 2 explosions in September. First of all, where is Barren Island located? It is in the Andaman Sea, part of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands in India, about 135 kilometers northeast of Port Blair. Now status, this is the only active volcano in India. What is its type after all? It is a stratovolcano, part of the Andaman volcanic arc. Stratovolcano means a pile of layers, made of lava, ash and pumice, which is tall and dangerous. Now we will cover all these topics of science and technology. Artificial intelligence and healthcare. Recently, India has joined the Health AI Global Regulatory Network. This is an organization that promotes the correct and safe use of AI in healthcare. Its aim is to use AI responsibly and to create global rules and standards for it. India will work together with countries like Britain and Singapore in this. What does this GRN do? GRN members have access to a unique feature, the Global Public Repository. In this, countries around the world can showcase their healthcare-related AI solutions. From India, ICMR, National Institute for Research in Digital Health, and India AI are engaged in this work. This India AI works under the Ministry of Electronics and IT, Government of India, whose aim is to make India a leader in AI innovation. Now the question is, why is AI monitoring necessary in healthcare? Let us understand this one by one. Patient safety and risk reduction. AI is used in healthcare to diagnose and treat diseases. For example, AI can help a doctor determine what disease a patient has. But if AI gives wrong advice, the patient may suffer harm. Therefore, strict regulations are needed so that AI works safely and correctly. Privacy and security of data. AI needs patient data to work, like his medical history. This data is very sensitive. If this falls into the wrong hands, the patient's privacy may be at risk. ICMR rules in India state that this data must be kept secure at every level. Ethics and fairness. Sometimes AI can be biased because it depends on its training data. For example, if the AI is trained on data from only one specific group, so it may not give correct results for others. Therefore, rules are made so that AI works in a fair and ethical manner. Transparency and accountability. AI is sometimes called a black box because it gives results, but it is difficult to explain how that result came about. For example, if the AI says that the patient has a disease, the doctor should understand why the AI said so. For this, rules are being made that AI creators will have to explain how their system works. The question of responsibility. Suppose some wrong treatment is done as per the advice of AI, then who will be responsible for it? Doctors, AI, or the users of AI in healthcare? AI in diagnosis. AI helps a lot in early detection of diseases. Ioncology.ai, an AI platform developed by AIIMS and CDAC, detects cancer in its early stages. This allows the patient's treatment to begin early and increases the chances of survival. Drug discovery and development. AI accelerates the development of new medicines. It analyzes the structure of molecules and finds drugs that may be suitable for clinical trials. This saves time and money. AI in hospitals and clinical settings. Robotic surgery. The Da Vinci robot performs complex surgeries with great precision. This helps doctors and helps patients recover faster. Virtual health assistant. Sanjeevani has a clinical decision support system, which with the help of AI, advises doctors in diagnosing the disease correctly. It gives a list of possible diseases after looking at the symptoms of the patient. AI in health data management. Electronic health records. AI finds patterns in patient data so that doctors can take better decisions. For example, the Ayushman Bharat Digital Health Mission uses AI to organize patient records, making everyday tasks easier. AI automates boring tasks like data entry, insurance claim processing, and appointment scheduling. This saves doctors time, and they can pay more attention to the patients. Challenges of adopting AI in healthcare. Technical challenges. Interoperability and standardization. Healthcare has different technologies and systems which lack uniformity. This makes it difficult to integrate AI and increases the risk of data security. Algorithmic bias. if AI is trained on inaccurate or biased data, so this can give wrong results. For example, some AI models misjudged the needs of Black patients because they considered cost as a measure of healthcare needs. Ethical challenges. Justice and fairness. AI should be such that it provides equal opportunities to everyone and does not discriminate against anyone. Otherwise, inequality in healthcare may increase further. Patient consent and confidentiality. AI must obtain patient consent before using their sensitive data and must keep the data secure. Misinformation and dehumanization. If AI makes mistakes or is overly trusted, misinformation can spread. Also, the human relationship between patient and doctor may be weakened. Challenges of inclusivity and accessibility. Representation bias. If AI is trained only on data from urban, wealthy or tech-savvy individuals, the needs of rural, tribal or disadvantaged groups may be overlooked. Resistance and lack of trust. Many doctors and healthcare professionals are hesitant to adopt AI. They fear losing their jobs, or they don't trust the accuracy of AI. What can India learn from AI innovations around the world? Remote patient monitoring. In Finland, AI-powered wearable devices are used to provide real-time monitoring of chronic patients. This reduces the need to go to the hospital. There are many diseases like diabetes and heart disease in India. Such AI wearables can be very useful for monitoring patients in rural areas. Data security from federated learning. Federated learning is used in Singapore, in which data does not have to be shared to train the AI model. This maintains the confidentiality of the data. By using this technology in programs like Ayushman Bharat, patient data can be kept safe. Recommendations to improve AI in healthcare in India. Reducing variation and bias in data. To make AI accurate and unbiased, it is important to train it on data from different social, geographical, and economic groups. With this, AI will give accurate results for everyone, rural and urban, rich and poor. Bridging the urban-rural divide. Using AI-powered telemedicine, urban doctors can reach rural patients. For example, healthcare access in rural areas can be increased by further strengthening platforms like eSanjeevani. Use of regulatory sandbox. Countries like America, Canada, Japan use regulatory sandbox. This is a way to test AI healthcare solutions and create regulations. India can also adopt this and promote safe and new technologies. Human-in-the-loop model. Human oversight is essential in AI systems. This model ensures that AI decisions are checked by humans so that mistakes can be prevented. WHO guidelines for AI. The World Health Organization has provided some important principles for the use of AI in healthcare. Patients should have control over their data and treatment. AI should be used for the welfare and safety of people. AI needs to be explainable so people can understand how it works. Responsibility for wrong decisions of AI should be fixed. AI should be fair and equal for everyone, regardless of their group. AI should be designed to be useful in the long run and good for the environment. Conclusion. AI could revolutionize healthcare. This improves access to diagnosis, treatment, and healthcare. But this requires proper regulations, data privacy, bias reduction, and inclusivity. India should learn from innovations around the world, like Finland's remote monitoring and Singapore's data security. Additionally, by strengthening programs like Ayushman Bharat and adopting WHO principles, India can make healthcare accessible to all through AI. You can watch all the videos from this month's magazine in this playlist. Oncolytic and personalized mRNA vaccines. Russia has launched two major projects for cancer treatment, the oncolytic vaccine Enteromics and the personalized mRNA cancer vaccine. These work differently from traditional chemotherapy, which destroy cancer cells and strengthen the body's immunity. In September 2025, impressive results from its clinical trials were announced at the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum in Russia. If all goes well, these could reach patients by the end of 2025. About the oncolytic vaccine Enteromics. Oncolytic vaccines are a type of cancer therapy that uses oncolytic viruses, cancer-destroying viruses. These viruses directly kill cancer cells and also activate the body's immune system to trigger an anti-tumor response. It is a mixture of 4 non-pathogenic viruses. It destroys malignant cells and activates the patient's anti-tumor immunity. 100% success in preclinical trials. Clinical trials began in June 2025, which includes 48 volunteers. This proved to be able to shrink and sometimes completely destroy tumors. Colorectal cancer. In addition, progress is also being made for glioblastoma and melanoma. This vaccine has been developed by Russia's National Medical Research Radiology Center and Engelhardt Institute. About personalized mRNA vaccines. Personalized vaccines are based on genetic analysis of each patient's tumor. This vaccine teaches the immune system to recognize and fight cancer cells. It uses a small piece of messenger RNA, which instructs our cells to make proteins associated with viruses or cancer. This mRNA is packaged in lipid nanoparticles and goes into the body, which produces proteins similar to antigens. The mRNA vaccine for COVID-19 tells cells to make copies of the coronavirus's spike protein. The immune system recognizes it as foreign and sends antibodies and T cells, which protect against future attacks. In cancer, it targets the tumor antigens. The Gamaleya Center is developing a personalized mRNA vaccine, one for melanoma. With the help of AI, tumor sequencing can make the vaccine ready in a week. Human trials will begin from September to October 2025, and it will be available free to patients. Challenges of mRNA vaccines. mRNA vaccine is a new technology, so there are some problems. These require ultra-cold storage, which makes distribution difficult, especially in rural areas. Mild symptoms such as fever, fatigue, or pain at the injection site may occur. These are new, therefore research is still going on the long-term effects. But in initial trials, they are proving to be safe. World's largest neutrino detector activated. Recently, in August 2025, the world's largest neutrino detector became active. This detector, named the Jiangmen Underground Neutrino Observatory, or JUNO, is located in China. It is located at a depth of 700 meters. About the JUNO detector. JUNO is built beneath Dashi Hill in Guangdong Province, China. It is a huge transparent spherical detector filled with 20,000 tons of liquid scintillator, surrounded by more than 43,000 photomultiplier tubes. These tubes capture the faint flashes produced by the arrival of neutrinos. The construction took more than 10 years and involved contributions from more than 700 scientists from 17 countries. Most neutrino observatories are built underground because the Earth's thick crust blocks other interfering particles such as muons. Muons can confuse the neutrino signal, but being underground allows JUNO to focus only on neutrinos. The main goals of JUNO. JUNO scientists are working to solve the mysteries of neutrinos. It has two major goals. Determining the mass hierarchy. What is the order of mass among the three types of neutrinos? Electron neutrinos, muon neutrinos, and tau neutrinos. Are the lighter ones first or the heavier ones? Understanding this will help in knowing the basic laws of the universe. Measuring oscillation frequency. Neutrinos keep changing from one type to another. This is called oscillation. JUNO will measure how often these changes occur. This information is essential to understand the behavior of neutrinos. About neutrinos. Neutrinos are called ghost particles because they are very mysterious. Nature, these are subatomic particles without electric charge, without size, and with very little mass. Occurrence, they are the second most abundant particles in the universe after photons. Billions of neutrinos pass through us every second, but we don't feel them. Why is it difficult to catch? They interact with matter only through the weak nuclear force and gravity. Even strong magnetic fields cannot stop them. Properties, they travel in a straight line. They travel at the speed of light and reach the Earth from the Sun without stopping. If you like the video, then you can share this video with your friends who are preparing for IAS. Extreme nuclear transients. Recently, scientists at the University of Hawaii's Institute for Astronomy have identified a new category of extreme nuclear transient events. They release 100 times more energy than a normal supernova. A study published in the journal Science Advances in June 2025 stated that these are the most energetic explosions since the Big Bang. What are ENTs? ENTs occur when stars at least 3 times more massive than the Sun come close to forming supermassive black holes. As the star approaches the black hole's event horizon, the black hole's tremendous gravitational force pulls it toward the star. This gives the star a long, thin spaghetti shape. This is called spaghettification. Then the star is completely ripped off. This releases a huge amount of electromagnetic energy which glows as ENT. These flashes are 10 times brighter than typical tidal disruption events. For example, one ENT, Gaia 18 CDJ, released the energy equivalent of a lifetime of 100 suns in 1 year. These explosions occur at the center of the galaxy, where supermassive black holes reside. They shine for years, whereas supernovae fade away within a few weeks. Quasi-Moon. Recently, the Pan-STARRS Observatory in Hawaii spotted a small asteroid in August 2025, named 2025 Peta-Newton 7. Old data showed that it had been orbiting Earth like a quasi-moon for about 60 years. It will remain there for another 60 years, then it will move away from the Sun's gravity. This discovery was published in the journal Research Notes of the American Astronomical Society in September 2025. What is a quasi-moon? The quasi-moon is not a true moon, rather it is a special kind of asteroid. It revolves around the Sun, but in a synchronized manner with the Earth. From Earth's perspective, it seems as if it is traveling with us. Its gravity is more affected by the Sun than by the Earth. Therefore, it does not revolve in the true orbit of the Earth. It does not revolve directly around the Earth, but takes its own path around the Sun. This creates a kind of illusion, like a fellow traveler. Scientists have discovered about 6 quasi-moons of Earth so far, such as Cardia, Kamoa-Leva, and 2023 FW13. Of these, 2025 PN7 is the smallest and least stable. You can watch the videos of Vision IAS magazine of all these months from these playlists. India's largest lithium-ion battery manufacturing plant. Recently on September 2025, Union Electronics and IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav inaugurated this advanced Li-ion battery plant of TDK Corporation at Sohna, Haryana. This is the largest such plant in Asia, on which more than 3,000 crore rupees has been invested. The first phase has already begun, and when fully operational, it will produce 200 million battery packs annually, covering about 40% of India's annual requirement of 500 million packs. It has been built under the Electronics Manufacturing Cluster Scheme and will create more than 5,000 jobs. What is a Li-ion battery? A Li-ion battery is a rechargeable battery that operates on lithium ions. During charging and discharging, lithium ions move from the negative electrode to the positive electrode through a non-aqueous electrolyte. These batteries are used in mobile phones, laptops, electric cars, and solar storage. Advantages of Li-ion batteries. These batteries are far better than the old lead-acid batteries. These store 75 to 200 watt-hours per kilogram, meaning they hold more energy in a smaller size and last longer between charges. Lighter than lead-acid batteries as they use lithium and carbon electrodes, which are less toxic. Good cycle stability, high efficiency and reliability. Self-discharge is low and there is no memory effect. Challenges. The advantages of Li-ion batteries are, but there are some problems also. China controls half of global lithium production and 70% of Li-ion batteries. India imported Li-ion batteries worth $1.2 billion in 2018 to 2022. Therefore, India will have to strengthen its supply chain. They contain flammable electrolyte, which can cause explosion or fire if mishandled. Lithium mining is water-intensive. It takes about 2,000 tons of water for every ton of lithium. Additionally, the lack of recycling units increases the disposal problem. Hierarchical reasoning model. Recently, in July 2025, Singapore-based Sapient Intelligence released HRM open source. This model has only 27 million parameters, but it can solve complex reasoning tasks with just 1,000 training examples. Current large language models such as ChatGPT rely on chain of thought, which is poor at breaking down tasks, demands a lot of data, and is slow. HRM solves this problem without any code prompting or pre-training. What is hierarchical reasoning model? HRM is based on the hierarchical and multi-time scale processing of the human brain. How different parts of the brain integrate information over different time periods. Exactly like that. The brain has a hierarchy. The upper levels perform slow, abstract thinking, while the lower level performs faster, detailed calculations. HRM also mimics this. How does it work? It consists of 2 connected recurrent modules. High-level module for slow, abstract planning, like System 2 inches thinking, which thinks deeply. Low-level module for fast, detailed computations, like System 1-inch thinking, which is intuitive. Together, these drive the hierarchical convergence process, where the L module is constant after a number of steps. Then the H module updates and resets L. This allows deep reasoning to be performed in a single forward pass without the supervision of intermediate steps. If you have any suggestions about this video, so please write in the comment box of this video. Ayurveda Ahara. Recently, in August 2025, the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, in collaboration with the Ministry of Ayush, released the official list of 91 approved recipes under the Ayurveda diet category. This will provide food business operators with clear guidelines on how to prepare Ayurvedic foods so consumers can know they are authentic, safe and traditional. What is the Ayurvedic diet? This is part of the Food Safety and Standards Regulations 2022. Ayurvedic diets are foods taken from the ancient texts of Ayurveda, which are made to balance the doshas of the body. This is not just food but the secret of health. Objective of the regulations: to provide clear guidelines to FBOs to ensure that the products are genuine and counterfeits do not enter the market. This list is under Schedule B, which is derived from the classical Ayurvedic texts of Schedule A. For the future, if any new recipe is to be added, FBOs will have to apply with reference to authentic texts. FSSAI will release updates. Examples of some popular products: Angara Karkati, roasted wheat balls, easy to digest and energy-giving. Krishara, made from rice, lentils and ghee, nutritious and dosha-destroying. Panak, fruit syrup, a cool summer drink. Yogurt-based dishes, digestive enhancers. Gulkand, rose petal jam, a treasure of freshness and coolness. Dravya Portal. Recently on September 2025, on National Ayurveda Day, Minister of State for Ayush Pratap Rao Jadhav inaugurated the Dravya Portal at All India Institute of Ayurveda, Goa. This year's theme was Ayurveda for People, Ayurveda for Planet, which highlights Ayurveda's benefits for both health and the environment. This portal is an initiative of the Ministry of Ayush, which makes Ayurvedic substances available to everyone in digital form. Also, the day saw the inauguration of the Integrative Oncology Unit, which combines Ayurveda with modern medicine in cancer treatment. About Dravya Portal. Dravya stands for Digitized Retrieval Application for Versatile Yardstick of Ayush Substances. This is a digital treasure trove of Ayush medicinal substances. Ministry, completely an initiative of the Ministry of Ayush. This is the world's largest public database, which contains data on Ayurvedic ingredients and products. Anyone, doctor, student or common man can access it for free. This is an ever-growing database, covering everything from classical Ayurveda texts to modern scientific research, field studies and drug trials. It has AI-ready features, which will be connected to the Ayush grid in future. Now we will cover all these topics of culture. 200th birth anniversary of Dadabhai Naoroji. Recently, his 200th birth anniversary was celebrated with great pomp across the country. First of all, who was Dadabhai Naoroji? He was an Indian scholar, businessman and politician. He was born in 1825 and died in 1917. He was known as the unofficial ambassador of India and the Grand Old Man of India. Dadabhai Naoroji played an important role in the establishment of the Indian National Congress. This organization was a big platform for the freedom struggle. He became the president of the Congress 3 times in 1886, 1893 and 1906. His role in 1906 was very special because he tried to bring unity between the moderate and extremist factions in the Congress. He also made a great contribution in the field of education. He was the first Indian to become a professor at Elphinstone College. There he also started special classes to promote women's education. In 1855, Dadabhai Naoroji went to London for business. There he became professor of Gujarati language at University College London. This was a huge achievement because at that time it was not easy for Indians to get such posts. After returning to India, in 1875, he was elected a member of the Bombay Municipal Corporation. Here, he did many important works for the development of the city. He worked in the fields of society, economy, politics, ethics, and education. First, social reform. Dadabhai Naoroji greatly promoted women's education. In 1848, she formed the Student Literary and Scientific Society, which by 1849 had opened 6 schools for girls. He started a newspaper named Rast Gofta and reformed the Parsi society by forming Rehnumai Mazdasan Sabha in 1851. Second, financial contribution. Dadabhai Naoroji gave the drain of wealth theory, in which it was stated that British policies were plundering India's wealth through taxes, salaries, pensions and remittances. His books such as Poverty of India and Poverty and Un-British Rule in India became very popular. His efforts led to the formation of the Welby Commission, of which he himself was a member, which examined the financial policies of the Government of India. He also started a newspaper named Voice of India. Third, political contributions. Dadabhai Naoroji was a liberal leader and believed in parliamentary democracy. He supported peaceful methods such as petitioning, praying, and protesting. In 1865, he founded the London Indian Society and in 1866, the East India Association. He became the first Indian to become a Liberal Party Member of Parliament in the British Parliament in 1892. He guided leaders like Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Gopal Krishna Gokhale and Mahatma Gandhi. Fourth, ethical contributions. In his book The Duties of the Zoroastrians, he emphasized the need for purity in thought, speech, and action. Fifth, contribution in the field of education. Dadabhai Naoroji took a big step towards making primary education compulsory. In 1882, along with Jyotiba Phule, he placed the demand for 4 years of compulsory primary education before the Hunter Commission. Finally, Dadabhai Naoroji was a leading nationalist. He laid the foundation for India's independence by combining social reform, economic criticism, and political activism. His drain of wealth theory and advocacy of Swaraj gave direction to nationalist aspirations. Even today, his vision of equality, education, and self-governance inspires India. You can watch all the videos from this month's magazine in this playlist. 100 years of the self-respect movement. Recently, many programs were held to mark the completion of 100 years of Swabhiman movement. This movement became a major reason for social and political change in South India. The self-respect movement was started in 1925 by E.V. Ramaswamy, popularly known as Periyar. The aim of this movement was to create a society where there is no discrimination on the basis of caste, religion, or gender. Periyar called it Arivu Viduthalai Iyakam, i.e. the movement to liberate the intellect. Its goals were stated in 2 magazines, Namato Kurikol and Tiruvida Kalakalattayam. What were the special features of this movement? Firstly, it was for social reform. It opposed the Devadasi system, caste discrimination, and restrictions on the remarriage of widows. Second, it promoted self-respect marriages, in which marriages took place without a priest. This broke the monopoly of Brahmin priests and reduced the cost of rituals. Third, it opposed child marriage and encouraged love marriage and intercaste marriage. In 1929, Periyar organized the first provincial conference in Chengalpattu, led by W.P.A. Soundarapandian. Now let us know a little about Periyar. He was born in 1879 and died in 1973. He was a social reformer, thinker, and philosopher. He believed that only rational scientific knowledge and social equality can create an egalitarian society. He was influenced by Mahatma Gandhi's Khadi program and programs like Temple Entry for Untouchables. He published the Tamil weekly Kudi Arasu and participated in the Vaikom Satyagraha and the non-cooperation movement. For his contributions, he was given the title Vaikom Veran and Periyar, meaning great man. Periyar demanded that government powers be distributed in proportion to the community's population. In 1932, he formed the Self-Respect Socialist Party, along with communist trade unionist Singara Velu Chattyar. We'll talk about the importance of Swabhiman movement. The self-respect movement challenged Brahminical dominance. It questioned the social and religious dominance of the upper castes and initiated anti-caste politics in Tamil Nadu. This movement was very important for women's rights. It promoted reforms such as widow remarriage, property rights, right to divorce, and reproductive choices. These steps became early examples for gender equality. The movement encouraged rational thinking. It advocated a scientific outlook and against superstition, which helped modernize society's outlook. This strengthened the Tamil language and Dravidian culture. It contributed to a cultural renaissance by promoting local identity. In the field of education, it demanded education and literacy for all, especially those who were previously denied knowledge. For economic justice, the movement linked caste inequality to economic exploitation and demanded a proportionate share of government jobs and resources among the population. In terms of political influence, it laid the foundation of Dravidian parties like the Justice Party (DMK) and AIADMK. The credit for this goes to the welfare politics of Tamil Nadu. Globally, it raised the consciousness of identity and rights among the Tamil diaspora in Malaysia, Singapore, and elsewhere. Now let us talk about some other social reform and anti-caste movements. Satya Shodhak Samaj 1873. Jyotirao Phule started it in Maharashtra. It promoted education of lower castes and women. Sri Narayana Dharma Paripalana Movement 1903. Narayana Guru started it in Kerala. Its slogan was, One Caste, One Religion, One God. Bahishkrit Hitkarini Sabha 1924. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar created it for the education and socio-economic advancement of Dalits. Vaikom Satyagraha 1924-25. Movement for entry of depressed classes into temple streets in Kerala. All India Depressed Classes Association 1930. Ambedkar created it for the rights of Dalits. All India Anti-Untouchability League 1932. Gandhiji started it to eradicate untouchability. Ultimately, the self-respect movement transformed Tamil society and politics by challenging caste discrimination and religious stereotypes. It laid the foundation of rationalism, gender equality, and social justice. Even today, its influence inspires social reform and inclusiveness. You can watch the videos of Vision IAS magazine of all these months from these playlists. Fide World Cup. Recently, in August 2025, Fide selected Goa as the host. It will run from the 30th of October to the 27th of November 2025. India recently won the Chess Olympiad, and Gukesh became the world champion. So it will be a big celebration for the home crowd. First of all, what is the Fide World Cup? This is a major chess event organized by Fide. Fide is the international governing body of chess. It was founded in 1924 in Paris as a non-governmental organization, but is now headquartered in Lausanne, Switzerland. This tournament is held every 2 years, and 206 players from around the world participate in it. It is played in a knockout format. That means the loser in each round is eliminated. The speciality of this tournament is that the top 3 winners qualify for the Candidates Tournament of 2026. The Candidates Tournament is where candidates for the World Championship match are selected. India's superstars like D. Gukesh, R. Pragnananda, and Arjun Erigesi will be participating in it. World Boxing Championships 2025. India's Jasmine Lamboria and Meenakshi Huda won gold medals in this championship held recently in Liverpool, UK. This was a historic moment for India. First, about the World Boxing Championships 2025. This event took place in Liverpool, UK in September 2025. The special thing about this was that for the first time men's and women's events were held together. Boxers from all over the world participated, and it is a big platform for boxing. India's performance was amazing. We won a total of 4 medals, 2 gold, 1 silver, and 1 bronze. Jasmine Lamboria won the gold medal in the 57 kilograms category by defeating Julia Zeremeta of Poland 4-1. Meenakshi Huda won the gold medal in the 48 kilograms category by defeating Kazakhstan's Nazim Kizaybe 4-1. Nupur Shioran won silver in 80+ kilogram and Pooja Rani won bronze in 80 kilograms. This was India's best ever performance abroad. Kazakhstan topped the medal table, but India came third. If you have any suggestions about this video, so please write in the comment box of this video. Raja Prithu Rae. We will talk about King Prithu Rae, who ruled Kamarupa in Assam in the early 13th century. His story is one of bravery and righteousness. King Prithu Rae belonged to the Khen dynasty, who traced their lineage to the mythological Narakasura. The people of the Khen dynasty worshipped goddess Kamateswari, a form of goddess Durga. After the decline of the Pala dynasty, the Khen rulers emerged as local chieftains. This dynasty laid the foundation of the Kamata Empire, also known as Kamrup, Kamru, Koch or Koch Hajo. Contribution. Bakhtiyar attacked Kamrup, but Prithu Rae, with his army, gave them a crushing defeat. The Kanai Barsi inscription is proof that the Turks were destroyed. His special thing was that he pardoned the prisoners after the war. They followed the principles of religious warfare, in which mercy and justice are important. Magsaysay Award. Educate Girls NGO has won the Ramon Magsaysay Award in 2025. This is the first Indian organization to receive this honor. This is the biggest award in Asia, which is also called Asian Nobel. The Ramon Magsaysay Award was established in 1957. The first award was given in 1958. It is given in memory of the 3rd President of the Philippines, Ramon Magsaysay, who was a great leader. This award is given every year. It honors individuals and organizations from Asia, no matter what their caste, religion, gender or country. It rewards people who help others and make a difference in society without seeking fame. Now about Educate Girls. This organization was started by Safina Hussain in 2007 in Rajasthan. Its aim is to send girls to school in rural and backward areas and ensure their completion of education. The organization has enrolled more than 20 lakh girls in schools in 30,000 villages and improved the education of 24 lakh children. It works in collaboration with the government and the community. It overcomes poverty, household chores, and cultural barriers. Furthermore, in 2015, it launched the world's first development impact bond, which provides funding based on results. It also runs a program called Pragati, which helps young women aged 15 to 29 to complete their education. Till now, all these people have received this award in India. If possible, please like the video and leave a nice comment. Gyan Portal. Prime Minister Narendra Modi recently launched this portal on the 12th of September 2025 during the International Gyan Bharatam Conference in New Delhi. This portal will help in digitizing, preserving, and making easily accessible the ancient manuscripts of India. This will keep our cultural heritage safe. First of all, what is a manuscript? It is a handwritten composition on paper, bark, cloth, metal, palm leaf or any other material that is at least 75 years old. It has scientific, historical or aesthetic significance. Keep in mind lithographs, which is the technique of drawing on stone and transferring it to paper, or printed books, are not considered manuscripts. India has the memory of the world. We have an estimated 1 crore manuscripts in 80 ancient scripts such as Brahmi, Kushan, Gaudi, Lepcha and Maithili. Of these, about 75% are in Sanskrit and 25% in regional languages. Gyan Bharatam mission was launched in the Union Budget 2025-26. This mission will survey, document, and preserve manuscripts. The portal is a digital platform that will digitize these manuscripts and make them available across the world. This will stop intellectual theft and strengthen the direction of indigenous and self-reliant India. Now its importance. Manuscripts provide evidence of human activities. They show how devoted our ancestors were to knowledge, science and education despite centuries of devastation. These provide knowledge about various aspects of society, cultural, political, economic, etc. For example, Kautilya's Arthashastra, an ancient treatise on economics and governance. This includes the history of Kashmir from the Gilgit texts, Buddhist texts from Sarnath, Ayurvedic texts like the Charaka and Sushruta Samhitas, and the Bakshali manuscript which shows the early use of zero. Moral integrity. Recently, Supreme Court Judge Justice Suryakant said that moral integrity does not block the path but gives it the right direction, meaning it does not limit us but rather helps us take decisions based on justice, fairness and responsibility. Just like the traffic light on the road does not block the way but ensures safe travel. What is moral integrity? This is the stronghold that remains on moral principles and values even in difficult situations. That is your thoughts, words and actions. All three are like two sides of the same coin. Even when faced with external pressure or temptation, decisions and behavior should always be consistent with ethical standards. For example, suppose there is a temptation to cheat in an exam. Moral integrity would say, no. My thinking is of honesty. I will say the same and will do the same work. First, understand the key stakeholders and their concerns. First, who are the main stakeholders? These are the people or groups who, those who benefit from moral integrity. Person, meaning you and me. They want to build personal credibility, that is, people trust them. And developing moral courage so that we can face corruption in everyday life. Public servant, government official. They want to maintain fairness and honesty. Preventing misuse of office for personal gain. To provide citizen-centric governance with transparency and accountability. Protection from political pressure and institutional corruption. Like correct decision on the file without bribe. Judiciary, to be the protector of constitutional morality and justice. Ensuring fair decisions free from political or social influence. Like the recent order of the Supreme Court. Corporate leader, ethical business practices, which last for a long time. Build investor and customer trust through honesty. Like fair price policy. Political leadership, public interest first, not personal or party gain. The values of democracy, fairness, equality, inclusiveness. Policies should be ethical and people-centric. Like the right plan for the poor. Society, creating a culture of honesty, fairness and justice. Protecting values from greed, materialism or dishonesty. Ensure sustainable governance, ethical leadership and social cohesion. Wow, everyone is connected. Factors that hinder moral integrity. Conflict between personal gain and public duty. When a person ignores his public duties for his personal gain, his morality is affected. Example, in the 2G spectrum scam, some officials flouted rules and gave licenses to their favorites. This reduced the public's trust in the government. Institutional and systemic pressures. Many times, political pressure, red tape, or unrealistic goals in the government system are such that even honest officers are forced to take wrong steps. Example, the Vyapam scam in Madhya Pradesh shows how corruption thrives due to the weakness of an entire system. Greed and materialism. Nowadays, the competition to run after money, cars, big houses and name has increased. This greed leads a person astray from the moral path. Example, in the Satyam scam, the company owner committed fraud due to greed, resulting in loss of millions of investors. Lack of transparency and accountability. When there is no transparency in the system, so it becomes easy to do wrong things. And if there is no accountability, people commit misdeeds without any fear. Example, before the RTI Act came into force, there was no information available about the extent of corruption in government schemes. Now the situation has improved. Social and peer pressure. Many times people do wrong just because their group or boss wants it so. Fear of transfer, fear of ostracism, or the everyone is doing it mentality are also reasons. Example, when Edward Snowden exposed America's spying policies, his own country called him a traitor. But he showed moral courage. Tolerance of impunity and misconduct. If corrupt or wrongdoers are not punished, So the others also feel that let us do it too. Nothing will happen. Example, in our country, many such leaders win elections, against whom criminal cases are pending. This sends the message to the public that there is no need for morality. First of all, the importance to the individual. Personal credibility and trust. Moral integrity motivates people. Example, Ratan Tata. He earned trust through ethical business, charity, and humility. For example, Tata Group is still an example of honesty, moral compass in difficult situations, making the right choices in issues like AI surveillance or climate justice. Example, Edward Snowden showed the balance of security and freedom. Indian example, Satyendra Dubey, NHAI engineer, exposed corruption in the Golden Quadrilateral project, lost his life, but integrity won. Non-public administration and governance. Preventing corruption, stopping misuse of office for personal gain. Example, IAS Ashok Khemka maintained integrity despite repeated transfers. RTI Act, citizens can demand integrity from officials. Citizen-centric governance, welfare first, not power. Example, Metroman E. Sridharan, transparent contracts and timely projects. Singapore's Public Service Code, a global example of fairness. Restoring public confidence, Election Commission fair elections through Model Code of Conduct. Confidence increased strongly in the recent 2024 election. The judiciary protecting constitutional morality. Fair decisions free from political pressure. Example, 2018 Navtej Johar case, homosexuality decriminalized. The integrity of the judges shines. Corporate sector and business ethics. Ethical practices, prevent tax evasion, labor exploitation, or environmental harm. Example, Narayana Murthy of Infosys, transparency, good governance, fairness to employees. ESG criteria, environment, society, governance, solve modern challenges. Example, Toyota net zero emissions promise by 2050. Recent, in October this year, Tata Steel increased carbon cutting through ESG. Civil society, activism and journalism. Facts first, not sensationalism, stop fake news. Example, ethical journalism saved lives during COVID-19 by preventing false news. Anna Hazare's anti-corruption movement, the power of integrity. Technology and the digital age. Ethical decisions in surveillance, privacy, algorithm bias. Example, Tim Berners-Lee, father of the World Wide Web, advocated for an open, decentralized, privacy-friendly internet. Recent, his new appeal against AI bias in 2025. Conclusion, moral integrity is the foundation of a just society. Maintain ethics under pressure, ensure fairness, accountability, compassion. These are not elections, but the key to sustainable governance, ethical leadership, and strong democracy. Mahatma Gandhi said, morality is the foundation of things and truth is the essence of all morality. Now, practice questions, case studies. Suppose Vijay is an IAS officer. He has been posted in a district where there is a very serious water crisis. In such a situation, a foreign company brings an offer that they want to extract a lot of water from under the ground here. In return, the company says that they will build schools, hospitals and roads there. Meaning, they are ready to invest heavily in that area. Now just think, this project can be beneficial. As employment increases, people will get facilities, and a big model of development will also be ready to show to the government. But wait, there is also a big concern behind this proposal. The village farmers and community leaders are against the project. He says that if the underground water is extracted, so there will be no water left for farming. This may lead to drought, groundwater crisis, and major environmental damage in the future. Now, there is a lot of debate going on about this issue in the media and social media. Some are saying that development is necessary, while others are saying that it should not be done at the cost of the environment. Meanwhile, Vijay is also under pressure from the government to approve this project so that investment can come and the image of the state can improve. Now let us understand what moral problems Vijay faces. First thing, they have to strike a balance between development and environment. Secondly, it is also important to save the livelihood of farmers and common people. Third thing, government pressure also has to be handled wisely. Fourthly, it is also a responsibility to preserve water resources for future generations. Now the question is, what options does Vijay have? First option, he approves the project immediately. This will make the government happy, investment will come and infrastructure will develop. But this could lead to severe water shortage and break the confidence of farmers. The second option, they refuse the project altogether. This will protect the environment and rural life, but investment in growth opportunities may be lost. And there may be conflict with the government and political leaders. Third option, they should talk to the company and get a balanced model prepared. For example, there is limited drainage. Farmers, consent should be taken, and water conservation measures like recharging plants, rainwater harvesting, and environmental planning should be implemented under CSR. So now the question arises, what is the most suitable option? According to me, the third option is the best. Why? Because this will not only lead to development, but will also protect the environment and the interests of farmers. And most importantly, it will be an inclusive and sustainable decision. Vijay should involve all parties in the talks. The decision should be taken with transparency, taking the opinion of all panchayat, farmer organizations, experts and the company. We have seen similar cases in states like Tamil Nadu or Maharashtra, where there was a dispute between companies and farmers regarding groundwater. In such cases, it is the responsibility of the administration to keep in mind not only the present, but also the future. You can watch the full video of Vision IAS Magazine 2025 here in Hindi and English from this courses tab. Big Tech and Ethics of AI, a growing regulatory challenge. Recently, concerns about big tech dominating AI have grown. A US court is investigating Google's search monopoly, which also includes the use of AI. In September 2025, Judge Amit Mehta ruled that Google held an illegal monopoly on search. But it didn't take the drastic step of selling the Chrome browser or abandoning Android. It just ended exclusive deals and asked for data sharing. This could give Google an advantage in the AI race. At the same time, two authors, Grady Hendrix and Jennifer Robertson, sued Apple in federal court. Allegation: Apple inserted his books into a pirated dataset to train an OpenELM AI model without permission, credit, or payment. These cases demonstrate that there are growing legal challenges to using copyrighted content in generative AI LLM training, which is creating digital monopoly on the internet. Like AI is copying everything and creating something new, but forgetting the old creators. Now the main stakeholders and their interests. These are the people who AI makes a difference to. Big tech companies. These companies like Google, Meta, Microsoft, OpenAI, etc. are leading the field of AI all over the world today. Maintain market control, maximize profits, expand globally, maintain control over algorithms, data and innovation, and gain public trust. But also ensuring the benefit of shareholders and content creators. People who create poetry, articles, videos, pictures, music, etc. are facing many challenges in this new era of AI. Copyright protection for the content they create if their content is being used for AI models. So they should get proper payment and credit. For example, when AI learns from an author's story, should the author get a share? This is the question that arises. Consumer. Ordinary people like you and me who use AI chatbots, search engines, face recognition, or health apps. AI services should be affordable, secure, and reliable. Our privacy and sensitive information should be protected. Government should not impose any discrimination, wrong information, or influence thinking on us. Governments are now cautious that a few select companies do not gain too much control over AI. What are the responsibilities and concerns of governments? Ensuring equal opportunities and fair competition, preventing digital monopolies, safeguarding the nation, protecting citizens' rights, promoting AI innovation, but also maintaining rules and regulations to prevent the privatization of public knowledge. Like the information which is for everyone, should not become the capital of companies only. AI is not just a technology, it is changing our society, influencing thinking, information, and decisions. What are the concerns of society? AI should be used in an ethical, equitable, and sustainable manner. Its benefits should reach everyone equally, rich and poor, rural and urban, everyone. We also need to prevent serious risks from AI, such as biased AI, the spread of misinformation, and the undermining of democratic values. Now, ethical concerns in the operations of AI LLM. First, digital monopoly and unfair competition. Dominant firms suppress smaller players with data, algorithms, and market control. Fairness, equal opportunity, justice violate. Example, default search on Google phones, digital monopoly. The recent court order stopped it, but the danger in AI remains. Second, infringement of copyright and IP rights. Not respecting authorship, not giving fair compensation, content duty violate. Don't make creators means, make them ends. Training without consent. Example, AI scraping books, art, music, code, taking away the earnings of small creators. Apple case books from pirated data. Third, privacy and sensitive information. Unpublished research, patient records, break of trust on business docs upload, no consent, lack of transparency. Example, in February 2025, South Korea suspended new downloads of the Chinese AI app DeepSeek for not following privacy rules. Fourth, privatization of public knowledge. Monopoly firms would turn free data into a proprietary product. Example, Wikipedia data in AI training without acknowledgement. Fifth, corporate profits versus ethics. Creators' rights and societal fairness are sacrificed in the pursuit of market dominance. Lack of moral integrity in corporate practice. Sixth, the North-South divide. Global South creators, work is used without safeguards while North firms profit. Digital colonialism and economic inequality increase. For example, Indian art is used in AI, but America benefits. What is the regulatory status of AI LLM operations? First of all, the status in India. No specific law. There are no clear rules on consent, licensing and data ownership in AI training. There are no special rules for sectors like healthcare and banking, but other laws apply. IT Act 2000, Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023, Copyright Act 1957, Competition Act 2002. For example, as recently as September 2025, the Indian government imposed the first AI privacy fine under the Data Protection Act, 50 crore rupees on a Chinese app. Now, global status. EU's AI Act, the world's first comprehensive AI law. Safe, transparent, trustworthy AI ensured. Stricter regulations on high-risk AI. Full enforcement begins in August 2025. UNESCO's 2021 AI Ethics Recommendations, the first global standard. India adopted it. Other. India is a partner of the G20 AI Principles. 2023 UK Bletchley Declaration and 2025 Paris AI Action Summit Joint Statement, Inclusive and Sustainable AI for People and Planet. Recent India signs AI for All commitment in Paris in October 2025. Now the way forward, strong legal framework. Create comprehensive AI law matching the EU AI Act. Consent, IPR, liability cover. Fair use and compensation, data licensing regime, credit and money to creators. Competition. AI market monitoring power to CCI. Promote open source AI and public data commons. Privacy, data anonymization, consent, independent audit. Heavy penalty for the break. Democratizing knowledge, open research databases protect. AI literacy programs. Corporate profit versus ethics, ethics review boards in AI firms like medical committees. Global treaty, AI governance treaty under the UN Equitable Benefit Sharing. South-South cooperation. Institutional capacity in India, create a national AI regulation authority. Indigenous AI through public-private partnerships. Conclusion, generative AI is transformative. But unchecked monopoly, IPR violation, privacy risk and fairness are at risk. A balanced approach, strong regulation, ethical innovation, and global cooperation should make AI a tool for empowerment, not exploitation. Now, practice questions, case studies. You all know that big AI companies use a lot of data to train their models like books, articles, online content. Now, allegations are being made that many times this data was taken without permission, without credit, and without payment. Some writers and small content creators associated with this are saying that their intellectual property rights have been violated. And this threatens their livelihood. The company says that if too many restrictions are imposed on data, AI innovation will be halted, and free or cheap services available to the public will be harmed. You are now a policymaker, and you have to find a moral and legal solution to this. So let us discuss each question one by one. What are the ethical issues in this case? Using content without permission. This is a direct violation of copyright law and moral values. Injustice to content creators, someone else's hard work, someone else's profits. This is unfair competition. Social interests versus individual rights. Can one's personal rights be taken away in the name of benefiting society? Lack of transparency. The company did not clarify from which sources they took the data. Avoiding moral responsibility, saying we are working for society. And not giving anything to the creators, that's a one-sided thinking. What ethical principles will guide you as a policy maker? Justice and equality, giving equal hearing and rights to all parties. Transparency and accountability. Companies should disclose what data they collected, how, and where. Balance innovation and conservation. Let there be development, but not at the cost of fundamental rights. Public interest and democratic access. AI should benefit everyone, but knowledge should not be privatized. Dialogue and engagement. Consulting with authors, technical experts, and companies when formulating policy. What solution can be found that allows innovation and also protects the rights of creators? A balanced and practical solution could look like this. Permission system for data use. Authors can choose to provide or withhold their content for AI training. Fair compensation framework. Those whose content the AI model learned from receive a share, such as royalties. Data source transparency laws. Companies must clearly state what data their models are trained on. Regulatory board on ethical AI use, an independent oversight body for AI like TRIA or SEBI. Promote agreements between creators and companies. Collective licensing models should develop. This will not only boost innovation, rather, those doing creative work will also get respect and benefits. What values should AI companies adopt in the future to avoid such ethical pitfalls? Transparency. People should know what the AI is learning and how. Honesty, not stealing the work of others. Respect for IP, valuing the rights of content creators. Accountability. If damage occurs, take responsibility. Fairness and inclusivity. I should benefit everyone. Not just a few powerful companies. 10 schemes in news. PM Street Vendors, ATMANIRBHAR, Nidhi Scheme. This government scheme helps street vendors, and recently the Union Cabinet approved the restructuring of PMSVA Nidhi Scheme and extension of the lending period beyond December 31, 2024. Now it will run till the 31st of March 2030. Total outlay ₹332 crore. These changes are aimed at further empowering street vendors, especially by connecting them with digital payments and welfare. Now, what is the purpose? The aim of the scheme is the holistic development of street vendors. Opportunities for business expansion and sustainable growth by providing reliable finance. Provide working capital loans. Promote financial inclusion, digital payments and identity/recognition. Suppose a vegetable seller gets a loan. He expands his stall and accepts payments through UPI. Now the main features. This scheme was first launched in 2020, when the livelihood of lakhs of street vendors in the country was in danger due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This is a central sector scheme. That means the entire expenditure is borne by the central government. It is jointly run by two departments. Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Department of Financial Services, DFS is responsible for providing loans or credit cards through banks. The total allocation for the scheme is ₹332 crore. Its aim is to benefit 1.15 crore street vendors. Out of these, about 50 lakh new beneficiaries are also being included. Eligibility: street vendors who were operating in urban areas before March 24, 2020. What are the main benefits? Working capital loan is available so that the vendors can restart their small business. There is a subsidy of 7% on interest. If the payment is made on time or early, the next loan is available in a higher amount. New features. New loan installments. First installment, up to 15,000 rupees, earlier 10,000 rupees. Second installment, up to 25,000 rupees, earlier was 20,000 rupees. Third installment, 50,000 rupees. Digital convenience. UPI-linked RuPay credit card after the second installment payment. Up to 1 rupee, 600 cash back on digital transactions to empower vendors digitally. Now the scheme is being implemented not only in statutory towns but also in census towns and peri-urban areas. Capacity building. Vendors will be given training, entrepreneurship, financial literacy, digital skills and marketing. Training on hygiene and food safety will be provided in collaboration with FSSAI, especially to street food vendors. SVA Nidhi Se Prosperity Campaign. Monthly Lok Kalyan Melas are being organized to connect vendors with other government schemes like insurance, pension, ration card, health scheme etc. 11. Places in news. India. First, let's talk about Gangotri Glacier. Gangotri Glacier is located in the north of India, and it is an important part of the Himalayas. A recent study has revealed that the Gangotri Glacier has lost 10% of its ice in the last 40 years. This glacier also indicates climate change and helps in understanding environmental changes. Now let's talk about Ranjit Sagar Dam. This dam is situated between Punjab and Jammu and Kashmir. Recently, the Indian Army rescued CRPF jawans and civilians stranded due to heavy rains after releasing water from the Ranjit Sagar Dam and evacuated them to safer places. This dam not only serves as a reservoir, but is also important for the environment and safety. Kuno National Park is located in Madhya Pradesh, and here recently a cheetah died in a fight with a leopard. This incident is the first time that cheetahs brought from Namibia in 2022 have been living here. This incident is important in the context of wildlife conservation. Now let us talk about Siam River. This river is located in Arunachal Pradesh, and recently the Prime Minister laid the foundation stone of 2 hydroelectric projects on this river. These projects are located near the border between India and China and are important steps for India's energy security. Bhairabi-Sarand Link is a new railway project launched to connect Mizoram with the Indian Railways network. This project was inaugurated recently by the Indian Prime Minister, due to which Mizoram's capital Aizawl will get better rail connectivity. Nalanda University is a historical university located in Bihar. Recently, the Prime Minister of Bhutan visited Nalanda University, and this is an important step in strengthening the cultural ties between India and Bhutan. Now, let us talk about Mahadev Wildlife Sanctuary, which is located in Goa. There is a recent development here, where the Supreme Court put a stay on projects in Mahadev Wildlife Sanctuary. This sanctuary is very important for the conservation of environment and biodiversity. The Simul Tiger Reserve is located in Maharashtra and was recently ordered by the Environment Ministry to investigate the situation. The allegation was that the land was used without the consent of the villagers living there. Vembanad Lake is located in Kerala, and the area is being affected by indiscriminate tourism, luxury houseboats, and encroachment. This lake is important for the ecosystem, and we need to save it. Finally, we will talk about Barren Island. It is the only active volcano in India, and recently there have been mild volcanic eruptions here. The island is important for environmental and scientific research. World. We will discuss some of the major events and places in the world. Finland has recently spoken about joining a declaration on a two-state solution between Israel and Palestine. This is an important step in the context of international politics. In Germany, the Indian Prime Minister met the German Foreign Minister, further strengthening the bilateral relations between the two countries. India and Morocco signed a Memorandum of Understanding for Defense Cooperation in Morocco. This will further strengthen military ties between India and Morocco. Venezuela has recently begun military exercises on La Orchila Island. This reflects regional tensions amid US military activities. Estonia has sought consultations with NATO to boost its cooperation with the bloc after Russian military aircraft violated its airspace. An AI-generated bot, Dila, has recently been introduced in Albania to automate the tender process for public government projects. Its aim is to bring transparency and reduce corruption. The Green Strategic Partnership between Denmark and India has been confirmed, which will promote green development and environmental protection. This partnership will help in the implementation of the Paris Agreement. A 5.6 magnitude earthquake struck Peru in the coastal region of southern Peru. This natural disaster is a warning to the citizens of Peru. Germany recently deployed fighter jets in the Baltic Sea. This happened when a Russian military aircraft intruded into the airspace of the Baltic Sea. This incident reflects the growing tension between Russia and Western countries. A powerful earthquake struck the Kamchatka Peninsula in Russia. This region is located between the Pacific Ocean and the Bering Sea, and this is important in the context of natural disasters. Now, an important meeting took place between India and UAE in the United Arab Emirates. Investment between the two countries was discussed in this meeting. This meeting is an important step towards further strengthening the economic relations between India and UAE. Recently in Qatar, the Prime Minister of India expressed concern over the attacks in Doha and condemned the violation of Qatar's sovereignty. This diplomatic statement reflects India's foreign policy approach. More than 20 people were killed in a massive blast in Tira Valley, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province of Pakistan. This incident is a matter of concern regarding the security situation in Pakistan. The first training squadron of the Indian Navy has arrived in Mozambique. This visit is being undertaken to commemorate 50 years of diplomatic relations between the two countries. Now coming to the Seychelles, the first training squadron of the Indian Navy arrived at Port Victoria. This is part of the long-standing training collaboration between India and the Saigon. The Philippines strongly condemned China's decision to establish a nature reserve on Scarborough Shoal. This dispute could further escalate regional tensions involving China and the South China Sea. You can also see other parts of this magazine from the description box of this video or from this end screen. If you liked this video, then do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel NoName IAS.